Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Marvel. My Dad is Galactus. Chapter 1. In the vast and endless universe, somewhere in the deep darkness, bursts of huge amounts of fluctuations suddenly erupted, spreading far across the void. Boom. The surface of a planet is shattering and breaking into pieces. The terrifying cracks are densely packed and go deep into the core of the planet. It is a completely doomsday scene. Through the huge amounts of cracks, one can see the azure blue energy flowing inside the core of the planet, violently turbulent between expansion and contraction, as if it is fiercely confronting some kind of invisible opponent. Upon closer inspection, you can clearly see that the surface of this strange planet, which is comparable to the size of an ordinary planet file, is covered with layers of strange materials that are like fine sand. These materials seem to be controlled and constantly invade into the interior of the planet, even if the thick and solid earth could not withstand the power of the black sand and was devastated. It is these strange granular fine sands that flow like terrifying giant hands, clinging to the entire planet, causing it to tremble endlessly. If you zoom in closer, you can see the strange particle-like black sand covering the entire planet. It turns out to be gushing out from somewhere inside the star core, and the source of the black sand is. It turned out to be a person. The instructions the old man gave me are indeed correct. This planet is special. It already has a divine star core. If there are another billions of years, maybe we can really become a god. But it's a pity that you met I, the son of the planet devourer. The young man who controls the black sand has a handsome face and a tall figure. Facing the rioting core of the planet, he looks like an ant, but his face is full of defiance and confidence. As he speaks, the granular sand seems to be endless, not only spreading to the entire planet, it also gradually moved from the outside in, moving towards the core of the planet where the blue divine power circulated. The blue divine power in the core of the planet suddenly vibrated under the young man's words. Instead of continuing to attack the young man, he retreated in fear. Waves of chaotic emotional fluctuations came from the deepest part of the core. Obviously, because of the young man's words, the star core, which has a certain amount of intelligence, became frightened. The son of the creation god, what kind of identity is this? As a star core that gives birth to divine power and certain intelligence, it is rare, if not unique, in this world. As the young man said, if you give it a long time to accumulate and accumulate, it is indeed possible to break through the limit, jump the life level of the star core, and become a god-like existence. However, even if it really becomes a god, it is still not worth mentioning in the face of the creator god of this universe. The huge energy tentacles transformed from the azure blue divine power in the sky are constantly shrinking, and they dare not attack the young people in front of the star core. The only thing they can do is to try their best to prevent the particle-like black sand from invading the azure blue divine power. However, this kind of resistance has little effect. The confrontation between the fine black sand and the azure blue divine power did not produce a powerful explosion. With every impact and contact, the energy tentacles transformed by the azure blue divine power would become a bit dimmer and much weaker. There is no need to resist in vain. After devouring your star core, I am still preparing to go to the next place. Sensing the fear of the star core, the unruly smile on the young man's face widened, and a cloud of black sand suddenly gathered around the star core, covering the entire star core. The black sand spread rapidly and continuously, causing the azure energy tentacles transformed by the star core's divine power to retreat step by step, only to continue to shrink. In the star core, invisible spiritual power came in waves, expressing fear and pleading to the young man. As a special life that gave birth to spiritual wisdom, it has felt the terror of death, and it neither dares nor is able to launch any attacks. It can only mobilize all its divine power and use all its strength to resist the invasion and devouring of the black sand. At the same time, beg the sons of the planet eater to spare it. However, under the control of the young people, these black sands not only showed no intention of stopping, but on the contrary, they continued to flow, pressing forward step by step. The confrontation between the star core and the black sand caused the entire planet to erupt with extremely terrifying vibrations. The fragmentation of the planet further intensified, like a ripe watermelon that was hit by a storm and exploded. Fortunately, there is no other life on this planet, otherwise in the face of a doomsday-like disaster, all life will be destroyed. Under the overwhelming black sand, the blue light emitted by the star core became weaker and weaker. The star core's resistance also weakened, like a dying beast, letting out a sad cry. The final trace of blue light was wrapped in endless fine sand and turned into pitch black. The star core was swallowed up and destroyed, but another aura suddenly became stronger amidst the death of the star core, and its terrifying speed broke through the many constraints, emitting terrifying fluctuations. After a while, boom, the aura of the son of Galactus suddenly broke through a critical point and suddenly became a lot stronger. Even the fine black sand surrounding him exploded under the surge of aura. At the same time, the star core was completely shattered and destroyed, and the life of the planet came to an end and began to enter the final self-destruction, disintegrating into countless fragments as small as the size of a large file, floating aimlessly in the universe in the form of meteorite turbulence. After completely devouring all the divine power born from the star core, the young man showed an intoxicated look on his face, seeming to enjoy the process of rapid growth in power caused by this devouring. Facing the fragments of the shattered planet, the fine black sand in front of the young man condensed and formed a sharp cone. Then his body moved and suddenly rushed out of the broken planet. The thick rock formations that stood in front of the young man looked like tofu when facing the sharp cone formed by the condensation of black sand. Wherever the sharp cone passed, all the rock formations burst into pieces. As the young man's figure quickly broke through the thick rocks and entered space, the fine black sand on the entire planet also quickly flowed back, all entering his body. Inherited the ability of my father, Planet Devourer, and just devoured a strange planet that gave birth to divine power, my strength broke through to the planet level. Although the planet level is still at the elementary level, but with the help of the old man passed down to me terrifying ability, even if I encounter an ordinary level sub-godfather, I will definitely be able to fight. After smashing into many rock formations that had become meteorites, the figure of the son of Galactus appeared outside the chaotic space, murmuring as he watched countless file-sized gravels flying in all directions across the universe. Facing a meteorite flying towards him, the young man did not control the strange black sand. Instead, he clenched his fist and punched the meteorite. When this ordinary punch was thrown out, a ripple visible to the naked eye appeared in the space. Wherever the ripples passed, the meteorite, which was comparable to the size of a small mountain, suddenly shattered and exploded into countless rubbles, all of which were driven by the ripples and dissipated. Just relying on the strength of my body, I can already shake the space slightly. The power of the gods is really good. It would be best if more gods can be swallowed by me. The young man casually closed his fist and smashed the mountain of meteorites as if he had done a trivial thing. However, thinking of the terrifying power of level Godfather and level universe, the young man immediately showed a hint of helplessness on his face. With him having just broken through to the planet level, even with the inherited ability of Planet Devourer, he would only be tortured when facing the weakest gods. Although his status as the son of Galactus is lofty and he is very intimidating against ordinary beings, it is obviously impossible for the gods to obediently let him devour him. However, he can't deal with the living gods. There are still many fallen gods in this universe. Their corpses are also huge amounts of benefits to him who has the Galactus inheritance ability. For example, the huge amounts of the heads of the gods in the Ziwu realm. The vast universe is undergoing strange changes all the time, and a figure is traveling between the universes. Thrall Garland, this is the real name of the son of Planet Devourer. His birth was both accidental and inevitable. Planet Devourer, along with death, annihilation, infinity, and eternity, are among the 5 creation gods of the Marvel Universe, representing nobility, power, and supremacy. Unlike the other 4 creation gods, Planet Devourer is not the original life that was born in this universe. His life is much longer and can even be traced back to the previous universe. The Planet Devourer is the life form of the previous universe and the only survivor of the destruction of the previous universe. Being able to survive the destruction of the universe, although this indirectly shows his strength, it also has its drawbacks. The Planet Devourer, who was not born in this universe, is extremely powerful, but it is incompatible with the rules of the new universe, and there are huge amounts of differences. Affected by the rules of the universe, the Planet Devourer's power will be continuously weakened. If it cannot be effectively replenished, in the end, he will be eliminated by the rules of the universe. This is also the fundamental reason why the Planet Devourer's strength alternates between strong and weak in many plots. Therefore, Planet Devourer needs to devour all energy substances all the time to ensure that he has enough power to cope with this continuous weakening. Over countless billions of years, Planet Devourer has devoured too much. To outsiders, the Planet Devourer is the most terrifying existence in the universe, a nightmare. However, is the unstoppable devouring day after day, year after year, not the nightmare of the Planet Devourer. Being forced to devour continuously for countless billions of years, devouring has become the Planet Devourer's most terrifying ability, but it has also become the source of his torment. For this reason, Planet Devourer complained and prayed countless times in his heart, hoping that the Supreme Being who controlled the entire universe could free him from the sea of suffering and no longer suffer this kind of suffering. The Overlord heard the Devourer of Planets' prayers, and Thrall was born. Thrall has inherited all the powerful abilities of Planet Devourer, and is completely another Planet Devourer. Even more perfect, he was created by the Supreme Master of this universe using the body of Planet Devourer, and integrated the rules of this universe. From the beginning of his birth, even the life of this universe will not be constantly suppressed and weakened by the rules of this universe like Planet Devourer. For Planet Devourer, although Thrall's birth did not solve his fundamental problem, in Thrall, he saw the continuation of his life, allowing him to feel the pain for the first time in countless billions of years, to solace. From then on, Thrall, this cheap son, became the hope of the Planet Devourer. This time, Thrall devoured the core of the planet where divine power was initially born, which was also painstakingly arranged for him by the Planet Devourer. Sal, there is one thing I have to tell you. You are now in the growth stage. You have inherited my ability and have unlimited potential. In theory, you can improve infinitely. However, after you have passed the growth stage, if your strength is not enough once you reach level single universe, your potential will be limited. No matter how much you devour me crazily in the future, you are destined to never be able to surpass me, or even worse. So, the first requirement I give you is that your strength must enter the God level before you reach maturity, the true God level. Do you understand? Thinking of what his cheap dad warned him when he left the Planet Devourer, Thrall felt an inexplicable sense of urgency. The true God level that Planet Devourer refers to is the existence of level single universe. God can see the pity, but only Thrall himself knows that he, like the Planet Devourer, is not a native of this universe. At least not the soul. He is a time traveler who came to the Marvel universe inexplicably and became the cheap son of the Planet Devourer. Originally, Thrall thought that as the son of the creation god, he not only inherited his father's terrible ability, but also had the supreme status of being favored by thousands of people. In this universe, he could be a dandy as he pleased. But I never expected that there would be such a bloody setting. However, perhaps it is because he has the bloodline of Planet Devourer in his body, and he has felt the pain of countless billions of years from Planet Devourer's body, which gives him higher ambitions than Planet Devourer's expectations. Being able to have a lofty starting point, he must not only achieve the goal of Planet Eater and abandon all the shortcomings of Planet Eater originally, but also surpass Planet Eater. From the memories passed down to him by Planet Devourer, Thrall experienced the fear and helplessness in Planet Devourer's heart when the last universe was destroyed. He doesn't want this fear, he doesn't want this helplessness. From its birth to now, this universe has developed to its peak stage. According to the process of ordinary life, it is considered a golden period. But Thrall knows that the lifespan of this universe is not infinite, and it will one day be destroyed. At that time, all life in the entire universe will die together with the universe. Cannot change. And he will break all this and become a tyrannical existence that can continue to exist even if the universe is destroyed. He wants to dominate the entire universe. This ambition may not even have been imagined by Planet Devourer, the creation god, and his cheap father, let alone have such high expectations for Thrall. But this is Sal's determination. Since I have traveled here and have such high hopes from such a cheap dad, no matter what, I must be worthy of him, and I must be worthy of myself. The faith in Thrall's eyes was firm, and the stream of light he formed kept traveling through the universe. In front of him, at the end of a deep and empty space, there was a certain aura that made Sal restless. That is the breath of the divine power. The source of this god's power is Thrall's destination, which is now called the realm of knowledge. The only remaining head of the fallen god group. The light flowed through without any pause, and the endless distance meant nothing to Thrall. Soon, Thrall saw a strange starry sky in his eyes. Even though we have seen the mysterious realm of ignorance in movies, we have to face it for real. It also made Thrall, the son of Galactus, look a little shocked and intoxicated. It's so beautiful. The remaining heads of the fallen gods are comparable to a planet. I don't know how powerful his master was when he was alive. As he murmured in admiration, Sal's eyes gradually revealed a sparkle. This beautiful and mysterious head will soon become part of his tyrannical power. It's so boring. This place has to be patrolled every day. Why should we patrol it? If you ask me, Collector is making a fuss out of a molehill. I used to have so much freedom as an interstellar pirate, but now I have to patrol. Don't talk nonsense. Collector is not a generous person. Our mission will be over soon. Then all your complaints can be placed on the dancers in Murdoch's bar. Ha ha. Outside the Ziwu territory, a chaotic fleet was patrolling. In the Ziwu realm, there are huge amounts of the gods' skulls, and there are a lot of strange spinal fluids left in the gods. This kind of thing is quite valuable, and it is said to be a deterrent from the Collector, but basic guard patrols are still indispensable. This fleet belongs to the Collector, one of the elders of the universe. He is also the uncrowned king of the Ziwu realm. In this chaotic and lawless place, filled with space pirates, criminals and homeless Ronins, the Collector occupies the realm of ignorance, giving them shelter and making them his subordinates. Just when the fleet was bored and preparing to return non-stop after completing its patrol mission, a stream of light outside the transparent shipboard caught the eye of one of them. Through the transparent shipboard, his expression became strange, and then he reacted and exclaimed, "Be careful, something is coming towards us." This voice immediately made everyone stunned, and soon they saw the rapidly approaching stream of light in the starry sky. It seems to be a person. Everyone's eyes widened. Only then could they clearly distinguish the outline of the human figure in the stream of light, and they suddenly became excited. At least this way, their patrol mission this time will no longer be so boring. I don't care what he is, be alert. Pull out my tower gun and aim it. The person who spoke looked like a ruffian and was dressed in a typical space predator costume. He seemed to be the leader of the crowd. When he saw this, he let out a low drink, with an excited look on his face, and a cruel and bloodthirsty light in his eyes. "Boss, the opponent is so fast and probably not weak in strength. Should we first?" The younger brother who was following the leader obviously thought more thoughtfully and said something. However, the fierce look in the leader's eyes made him timid and he could only shut up. With the leader's order, the battleship quickly entered an alert state, and the muzzle of a black shuttle stretched out from the bottom of the battleship and began to lock on the approaching streamer. This stream of light was Thrall, the planet devourer, who had traveled a long distance. Feeling locked by the battleship, Thrall let out a light sigh, and his body suddenly stopped. There is absolutely no difficulty between extreme movement and extreme stillness. Inertia means nothing to Thrall at all. After the figure paused, Thrall stood in thin air, facing the battleship that had locked him with a calm expression. Because of the distance, the other party couldn't see the joking look in Sal's eyes at all. He actually stopped. It seems he doesn't know what cruel fear he will face next. "Give me fire." Seeing Thrall stop, the leader on the battleship's eyes narrowed slightly, the cruel smile on his lips widened, and then he gave the order to attack. As the leader of a brutal predator, he was quite enthusiastic about killing. Although this kind of enthusiasm has been restrained after he came to the Ziwu realm, it has also accumulated. When he saw Thrall alone, he ordered the bombardment without any hesitation. In his mind, he had already imagined what would happen next. Under the huge amounts of energy cannonballs, the opponent's body was easily shattered and disappeared into thin air in the blazing heat. This young man who doesn't know the heights of heaven and earth dares to come to a lawless place alone. Let him learn the most painful lesson in life. Boom! The battleship roared, and a huge amount of energy rushed out of the muzzle, with a blazing light, and surged towards Thrall. For a 10,000th of an instant, Sal raised the corners of his mouth slightly, his eyes calm. Underneath his calm smile, his already handsome facial features became even more charming. This level of attack is really too much for him. Too weak. The energy-filled cannonball rushed in front of Thrall and exploded. A blinding light completely swallowed Thrall's body, illuminating a large empty space around him. Kid, my tacos taste pretty good, ha ha ha. Seeing the cannonball hitting Thrall and the blazing light exploding, the leader on the battleship laughed, completely treating Thrall's appearance as fun during a boring patrol. Boss is so powerful. This tower cannon is so powerful that it can easily destroy ordinary warships. How can a flesh and blood body stop it? Finally, it's not so boring anymore. A group of people on the battleship all laughed in agreement with the leader, except for the younger brother who had previously raised objections, whose eyes flickered slightly. The other party looks quite young, and he has the ability to swim directly in the universe. I'm afraid his background is not simple. It might even be possible that he was a descendant carefully cultivated by some powerful high-level officials. The leader just killed each other for fun. If they really encountered any problems, they would definitely become cannon fodder victims. The collector won't pay for such nonsense. Thinking of this, the young man couldn't help but look up and look into the distance, watching the light gradually dimming after the tower cannon's energy exploded. But the next second, there was an uncontrollable look of disbelief in his eyes. After the light dissipated, the figure that paused in the void still existed. Old boss. Seeing this figure, the young man felt his heart beat faster and his breathing became a little short, and he spoke with a trembling voice. Mortrian, what's wrong with you? The leader, who was in a happy mood, looked unhappy when he saw the cowardly appearance of his younger brother. If it were in the past, when he was still a predator, such cowards would usually be killed by his own hands. The young man chose to ignore the leader's angry gaze. Look. The younger brother stretched out his trembling hand and pointed to the space outside the transparent deck of the battleship where the light dimmed again. There, a figure stood calmly, the smile on his face unchanged, with a bit of amusement. Behind him, countless terrifying particle-like black sands surged out crazily, and in just a few blinks of an eye, they were about to cover most of the sky. This is impossible. Seeing Thrall's figure, the fleet leader's eyes changed drastically, and he couldn't help but exclaimed. Everyone also saw Sal, and the shock and gradually emerging fear in their eyes were so clear. Everyone's thoughts were surprisingly the same. They may have hit a brick wall today. Weak energy cannonballs are not enough to even restore the energy I consumed along the way, but a fleet can allow me to replenish some. Thrall smiled and spoke, and the overwhelming black sand behind him was expanding more and more. The black sand filled the sky, covering up the light of stars in the distance, making everyone feel shuddering. This heavy shadow also appeared in the minds of everyone in the fleet. What's this? Fear was like a tide, rising uncontrollably from the hearts of everyone in the fleet. Even the leader of the fleet, a predator who had been licking blood from his knife all the time, was trembling. Boss, what should we do? Do we want to attack? One of the fleet members spoke with a fearful expression. Everyone at the moment was nervous. Although they didn't understand why the other party was safe and sound under the bombardment of the warships, the black sand covering the sky made them deeply aware that if they didn't take action, the black sand would completely engulf the entire fleet in a few breaths. What will happen then is self-evident. Attack a ghost. Retreat for me. Hurry. Alarmed by his younger brother's words, the leader's body was shaken. He got rid of the huge amounts of shock and roared, trying to dispel the fear in his heart with a loud roar. After receiving the order, everyone who was in a daze came to their senses. All battleships turned on their power and began to retreat frantically. However, the dark particles covering the entire sky appeared to be moving slowly, but in fact they are extremely fast. They are swallowed up at a speed far beyond what a battleship can match. If the fleet had begun to retreat with all its strength just now when Thrall launched the black sand engulfment, there might be a 1 in 10,000 chance to keep the fleet alive longer. But now, it's too late. No. In the despair of everyone on the battleship, the dark particles covering the sky were like the huge mouth of an abyss monster, coming in the blink of an eye and swallowing the entire fleet. In the space covered by black particles, the light of the battleship suddenly disappeared, and there was no longer any light. Controlling the black particles in the sky to eat the entire fleet, the particles that boomed out of Thrall's body did not stop at all. To him, this fleet was just an appetizer. The only target that he was really interested in was the huge head of the celestial god group surrounded by nebulae in front of him like a dream. By the time the black sand rolled past and filled the air towards the giant heads of the gods, the fleet just now had completely disappeared. A fleet with strong combat effectiveness completely disappeared from this world in just an instant, leaving not even a scream or a trace of its existence. The starry sky is vast, and the disappearance of a fleet is like a drop of water in Wangyang, causing no waves at all. At the moment, in the realm of ignorance, it is still as chaotic and corrupt as ever. Everyone indulges in lust, greed, fighting, and killing, revealing the ugliness of human nature. No one noticed that at some point, the sky above them was quietly swallowed up by darkness from all directions. Until the entire Ziwu realm resounded with a shaking like heaven and earth shattering. Boom! Huge amounts of vibrations occurred throughout the Ziwu realm, like earthquakes, causing many solid steel buildings to tilt. What's going on here? Why did it suddenly get dark? It wasn't until this moment that everyone reacted and saw that the sky above their heads was covered with flowing black particles. Although these pitch-black particles look the same as gravel, they flow as briskly as water. Wherever they pass, whether it is the hard calcified part of the Tianshan group's head or the steel bracket of the artificial single room, they are instantly destroyed. Devour. Swallowed by the black particles, the entire dome soon became emptied out. A large number of buildings and steel materials broke and fell from the sky. This kind of collapse spread very quickly. After everyone noticed the abnormality, within a short time, the entire Ziwu domain felt like the sky was falling apart. This horrific sight of the sky and earth falling apart plunged countless people into fear and panic. Huge amounts of broken steel and building debris continued to fall on the originally bustling streets, making the crowds running around miserable. Many unlucky ones who were in a panic happened to be hit by the falling giant objects. They were unable to even scream, and their flesh and blood were shattered into corpses. It's not that no one thought of rushing out in a battleship, but there was terrifying black gravel in all directions. This unknown thing was even more frightening. After witnessing many attempted warships rushing into the tide of black particles and disappearing without a trace, fear, like a tide of despair, has taken over everyone's bodies and minds. In the tallest and grandest building in the Ziwu realm, the collector's face was gloomy, his eyes full of anger, but also a bit shocked. Lord Defan, it has been determined that the entire Ziwu realm is surrounded by some kind of black particles that suddenly appeared. These particles are so aggressive that any object that comes into contact will be completely swallowed. A tall attendant tremblingly knelt in front of the collector and told the collector the details he learned. Although he tried his best to keep his voice calm, the tremor in his tone still betrayed him. After hearing the attendant's words, collector's face became even more gloomy, as if he was about to drip water. As we all know, Ziwu domain is his territory. Who has the courage to cause trouble in his place? Sir, what should we do? If we continue to wait, I'm afraid it won't be long before the entire Ziwu realm will be. Seeing that collector didn't speak for a while, the attendant became more and more panicked and couldn't help but ask. For countless years, no one has dared to be so presumptuous in my territory. The collector's voice was cold. The Ziwu domain was his home base. If he continued to struggle like this, not only would the Ziwu domain be destroyed, but everything he had worked so hard for countless years would also come to naught. Just when the Ziwu realm was shattering, Thrall, the instigator of all this, was looking very happy, unscrupulously using the devouring ability of devouring inheritance, constantly wrapping and devouring the heads of the gods, and enjoying everything in it. In Thrall's perception, this god group has been dead for countless years. Although his strength during his lifetime was absolutely terrifying, after the erosion of the years, the power in his head has also been lost too much, and most of the organizations have been destroyed. Turned into rock-like calcification. These calcifications are like cold rocks. Although Thrall can still swallow them, they have little help in improving his strength. The only thing that concerned Thrall was the remaining spinal fluid in the god's head. This was the essence of the entire huge head, which contained the majestic power and divine power. Therefore, Thrall gave priority to these gods' spinal fluids. The jet-black particles broke through the extremely hard skulls of the gods and went directly into them to find the spinal fluids, which they devoured like whales drinking water. The aura on Thrall's body was gradually released, sending waves through the void. As the spinal fluid of the god was continuously devoured, Thrall's aura became more powerful and terrifying, and could even be transmitted through the god's head. Under the pressure of this terrifying aura, all creatures in the Ziwu realm felt as if they were suffocating in the face of the gods. What kind of existence is coming? This is the question in the hearts of all fearful people. Facing the terrifying aura like a god, everyone felt a sense of suffocation, and their despair reached its peak. Could it be that they were guilty of too many crimes and that this caused the wrath of the gods? Faced with waves of pressure and fearful crowds, many people have given up on escaping and knelt on the ground to pray. Dear strong man, what makes you do all this in my territory? Just when the crowd fell into despair, the collector's voice sounded throughout the realm of ignorance. This voice contained suppressed anger, which echoed far away through some kind of loudspeaker device. Obviously, the collector has felt the aura emanating from Thrall. Although his combat power is not high, as the Elder of the Universe, he still has a lot of confidence and will not be like the panicked crowd. Upon hearing Collector's rumbling voice, Thrall's face moved slightly as his strength in the void continued to increase. The fat sheep has come out. A smile flashed in Thrall's eyes, and then he stepped forward in the void, heading towards the realm of ignorance that was engulfed by his black particles. When it came into contact with the head of the Ziwu domain celestial group, rich black particles flowed like water waves, slowly entering it while holding Thrall's body. During this process, Thrall did not stop devouring because of the collector's words. All the black particles continued to break through the hard shell of the celestial god's head, looking for the essence to devour. Thrall's power also continued to increase, and his aura became higher and higher. I, Tanya Diffin, a member of the Universe Elders Council, order you to stop all this immediately. Otherwise, no matter who you are, you will receive the most severe judgment from the Universe Elders Council. After speaking for a while, the black particles shining with blue light showed no sign of stopping. The earthquake in the entire Ziwu realm became more serious. The collector's voice sounded again, with an obvious threat. On the tallest building in the center of the lawless city, the collector's chest was heaving and his eyes were horrifying. He was obviously so angry that he even moved out the Council of Elders of the Universe. Collector has lost count of how many years he has not had such a rage moment since he became the Elder of the Universe. Just when Collector was extremely angry and was about to speak again, a slightly mocking chuckle sounded, causing his body to tremble slightly. Did you just say that no matter who I am, the Universe Elders Council will judge me? On the wide platform, Thrall's body was lifted by the black particles with flashing blue lights, and he landed gently. He looked at Rage's Collector with an indifferent smile on his face. Seeing the real owner appear, Collector's eyes quickly fell on Sal. Seeing Sal's young and handsome appearance, Collector's pupils shrank slightly and he looked at him carefully. The Ziwu domain is Lord Defan's sphere of influence. If you dare to mess around here, do you know what the consequences will be? Before the Collector could speak, the attendant who was following him took the lead in scolding him, and the threat was palpable. The attendant who can follow Collector is obviously very good at figuring out Collector's thoughts. Only when he saw Collector's angry look just now did he dare to scold him like this. With the Collector, the Elder of the Universe, by his side, the attendant felt confident and showed a fierce expression. In response to this attendant's clamor, Sal's eyes did not change at all, and he did not even look at him. In his eyes, there is no difference between the Collector's attendant and a Kodo dog on the roadside. The reason why Thrall showed up was only because of the fat sheep Collector. Why don't you kneel down in front of Lord Defan? Even if you die 10,000 times for everything you have caused, Lord Defan. The attendant was even more angry at Thrall's ignorance, and then looked at the Collector flatteringly. He deeply understood the terrible consequences of offending the Collector. Thinking of those who offended the Collector, the attendant glared at Sal with a sinister look. Who are you? Seeing Sal's calm smile, Collector spoke slowly. He has already announced his identity and even moved out of the Universe Presbyterian Church. The other party is still so calm and calm. Either he is a stupid young man who is not very smart, or he is not afraid of the Universe Presbyterian Church at all. Obviously, with such strength, Collector does not think Thrall is a fool. Is this Tanya Diffin? My name is Sal Galan. When asked by the other party, Sal introduced himself with a smile. Sal Garland. Collector quickly searched his mind, and his expression soon changed. In his memory, the surname Garland did exist, and when he thought of the strange particles wrapped outside the Ziwu realm, an awe-inspiring figure of huge amounts jumped into Collector's heart. Have you thought of anything, Mr. Elder of the Universe? Seeing Collector's sudden change in expression, Sal smiled and asked. As a second-generation official, Sal still enjoys the sense of superiority brought by this status. There is such a god of creation father, why not use his name? What is your relationship with Planet Devourer? Collector exclaimed, his voice vibrating. What do you think of my father? How about I ask him to come here in person and see how the Universe Elders Council will judge me? In response to Collector's gaffe, Sal raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and his words were full of teasing. Old father. Although Thrall's real name and ability had already made Collector guess, but now that Thrall said it himself, Collector was still shocked, and a chill rose from behind. Who is Planet Devourer? You are such an unreasonable being. It doesn't matter who you are. In his opinion, you are just replenishing the meals he consumes. What's even more unreasonable is that that guy is one of the creation gods. Let alone a small cosmic elder, he is the entire cosmic council of elders. If you offend Galactus, an unreasonable guy, you can swallow it. Collector had heard before that Galactus had prayed to the Supreme Lord for countless years because of his own flaws and got a son. Now it seems that he is the young man with an unbridled smile in front of him. Lord Thrall, I didn't know it was you before. It was all a misunderstanding before. I deeply apologize to you for my recklessness. As for the Universe Elders Council, it's just a joke. Please don't mind. Thinking of this, Collector's attitude changed drastically. The surprise and anger in his eyes were all restrained. He pretended to be respectful and said to Sal with a smile on his face. Beside the Collector, the attendant with sinister eyes was completely sluggish and his mind was blank. How is this going? Why would the dignified elder of the universe be so respectful to an intruder? Misunderstanding. Is that really the case? Seeing Collector's sudden change of attitude, Sal secretly lamented that his father was really a cruel man. However, I felt secretly happy, but the smile on Sal's face disappeared. As the elder of the universe, one of the beings who manages the operation of the universe, I will not think that what I say is a joke. Could it be that in the eyes of Master Defan, the Council of Elders of the Universe is a joke? Sal's questioning made Collector's back almost wet with cold sweat. How the hell do you answer this? If we admit that this is a joke, wouldn't the Presbyterian Church of the Universe also become a joke? Having ruined the reputation of so many old guys in the Universe Presbyterian Church, his position as the Universe Elder may no longer be secure. However, if this is not a joke, that unreasonable boss of Galactus. For a moment, Collector really wanted to give himself two big mouths. Collector, don't be so nervous. I'm not an unreasonable person. I wonder if you would mind if I change my servant. Seeing that the fire was almost done, Thrall did not continue to be indifferent. He changed the subject and then his eyes fell on the still dazed attendant beside the Collector. The Collector's dog was barking very hard just now. Upon hearing Thrall's words, Collector was slightly startled, and then immediately reacted. I definitely won't mind. He just contradicted Lord Thrall. The Collector looked at the attendants beside him with an angry expression, his eyes full of indifference. If sacrificing an insignificant attendant can resolve this matter, the Collector will not be reluctant to part with it at all. On the contrary, I will be extremely happy. In front of Thrall, black particles suddenly surged and condensed into a pitch-black spear. On the spear body, there were bright blue light spots shining, looking gorgeous and mysterious. The next moment, the spear shot out, penetrated the Collector's attendant's throat, and then turned into black particles and dissipated. Blood spurted out from the attendant's throat, and his body slowly softened, and the breath of life quickly disappeared. Until his death, the attendant's eyes were fixed on the Collector, full of disbelief. For being rude to Lord Thrall. Lord Thrall, this misunderstanding. Regarding the death of the attendant, the Collector was not at all shaken and just hoped that this matter would end soon. Collector, as the Elder of the Universe, your reputation is quite huge. Next, let's go to your collection and see if we can find a way to resolve the misunderstanding. How could Thrall not know what the Collector was thinking, but the life of a servant could not resolve such a big misunderstanding. Thrall's goal has not been reached yet. Shopping. Collector felt his head pounding. The young man in front of him was the son of Galactus. If he was allowed to go to the treasure house he had collected for many years. The consequences, however, Compared with his countless years of foundation and his own life, Collector could only nod in agreement while bleeding from heartache. Definitely. Lord Sal is interested in my collection. It's my honor. It's just that Lord Sal, I know these things outside the realm. When the two of them were talking, Thrall did not stop swallowing, but now that the deal was settled, the remaining spinal fluid of the gods and the heads of the entire celestial god group had been absorbed. Naturally, Thrall would not embarrass the Collector anymore. At that moment, his mind moved, and the sky was filled with black. The particles begin to shrink rapidly. Don't worry, Collector, as long as your collection satisfies me. The black particles shrank very quickly, but in the blink of an eye, all the black particles returned to Thrall's body. These black particles swallowed up all the spinal fluid of the gods, and now merged into Thrall's body, causing his aura to surge again, making Collector's eyelids jump. This speed of devouring and becoming stronger is probably only possessed by Galactus and his son in the entire universe. Without the covering of black particles, the sky of the entire Ziwu realm has become much brighter, but everything that was swallowed before has completely disappeared and no longer exists. After the swallowing process stopped, the earthquake in Ziwu realm slowly recovered. Although it did not stop immediately, at least there was no longer the terrifying threat of earth shattering as before, which made all the panicked and desperate people excited. In just a few moments, they experienced the horror of life and death, and now that they are left with the aftermath, many people burst into tears. In life and death, these ferocious cosmic predators are not much different from ordinary people. Lord Thrall, please follow me. The black particles that almost overturned Ziwu's realm disappeared, and Collector breathed a sigh of relief, but thinking about his countless years of collection, the smile on his face was more forced than anything. How could Sal not guess what the Collector was thinking? While secretly laughing in his heart, there was a hint of smile in his eyes. As one of the elders of the universe, the Collector has existed since the birth of this universe. During his long and almost eternal life, collecting has been the Collector's only pleasure. This kind of collection is not a collection in the ordinary sense. All his collections are the rarest and rarest things in the universe. Artifacts with terrifying combat power, mineral deposits with strange energy, treasures from mysterious places, and even nearly extinct creatures in the universe. After countless years of accumulation, his collection is quite impressive. Lord Thrall, this is my collection. It is my honor to be able to impress you. In the exquisite and magnificent underground palace, Collector said to Thrall with a forced smile. Sal nodded slightly, with a bit of shock in his eyes. Although Thrall was thinking about the Collector's treasure house, he did not expect that the treasure house would be so huge. The dazzling collections in it were displayed among countless densely packed transparent crystal counters. At a glance, it was impossible to see the end. In Sal's perception, almost every item in the collection exudes strong energy fluctuations. This energy fluctuation arouses his desire to devour. I really don't know how this old guy got so many good things. If Dad sees it, I'm afraid he won't even leave it to him. Thrall glanced around and saw a lot of good things at a glance, and even a dagger that exuded rich flame energy. Judging from this level of energy, this dagger has definitely reached the level of an artifact. Perceiving huge energy fluctuations, Thrall's instinctive desire to devour could no longer be suppressed, and he did not suppress it. A swarm of black particles with flashing blue divine power rushed out of the body again and spread toward the entire treasure house. Lord Thrall, please show mercy. Seeing these black particles enveloping the crystal booths one by one, Collector's face turned blue, and he almost fainted with heartache, and his words were filled with tears. It's hard to imagine that the Collector, one of the elders of the universe, would have such a tragic moment. Thrall was unmoved, and more black particles were like waves, heading deeper into the treasure house. As the treasure house stretches out, the energy fluctuations emitted are even more powerful. It is obvious that the treasures inside are more precious than what is in front of you. Collector, don't worry, I'm only interested in collections with violent energy fluctuations. As for other garbage, I won't touch it. In this way, our previous misunderstanding will be wiped out. While controlling the black particles to wrap around the crystal display cabinets and start swallowing them rapidly, Sal smiled. The black particles have a strong perception of the surroundings, and can independently choose energy-rich items to devour without Thrall being too distracted. Therefore, Thrall chatted with the bitter-faced collector while swallowing, letting his power constantly abundant. Collector, you have a lot of good things. If any of these things are taken to the outside world, I'm afraid it will cause a war. Even the 3 major empires in the universe will be greedy. You are worthy of your name as Collector. Thrall smiled and spoke. Collector. As Thrall's strength skyrocketed, the terrifying swallowing ability of the black particles reached a higher level, and the speed of swallowing skyrocketed compared to before. If Thrall wanted to devour a powerful artifact before Thrall's strength reached the planet level, it would take a while. But after twice improving his strength, Thrall was able to swallow dozens or hundreds of artifacts at the same time. However, in just a few dozen breaths, they were completely digested by the black swallowing particles. Thrall inherited the swallowing particles from his father. After swallowing the core of the planet, there were many bright blue light spots in it. These light spots, as Sal swallowed the spinal fluid of the god, became like real stars. When the black sky spread out, it was extremely bright, and it was already very similar to the sky. But while continuously devouring a large amount of Collector's treasures, the black swallowing particles controlled by Thrall once again experienced more mysterious changes. The first thing that was completely swallowed and digested by Thrall was the artifact dagger with strong fire attribute that was right in front of him. After the dagger was successfully transformed into Thrall's power, another one appeared among the black particles. A shining point of light, showing a fiery red color. A handful of artifacts were swallowed up, causing the black canopy to have many fiery red light points. Although the number of light points was insufficient compared to the azure blue, it also made the canopy look more gorgeous. Immediately after the fiery red shining light spots, dazzling golden light spots, verdant green light spots, turbid earthy yellow light spots, and various colorful light spots lit up one after another, intertwined and scattered, distributed among the vast number of fine particles. As the devouring process progressed rapidly, there were more and more strangely colored light spots, and they became more complicated, causing the sky controlled by Sal to change drastically. At first glance, it looked exactly like the mysterious nebula in the universe. Thrall was not too surprised by this mysterious and strange change. After he devoured the divine power of the star core, he roughly understood that the changes in his inherited ability were all good things. Each light point was a power of different attributes. Not only it strengthened his body and increased his strength, but in Collector's eyes, all of this is far more than a shock. In the past, Thrall controlled and swallowed particles. The main body was almost entirely black. It was difficult to detect the azure light spots of divine power in it without looking carefully. However, now it looks like a nebula. There is even a collector that is placed in the depths of the universe, a feeling of. However, this wonder was quickly replaced by heartache. Seeing the collection he had accumulated over countless years being enveloped and swallowed up by black particles in an instant, the collector, whose heart was bleeding, could hardly breathe because Thrall had become such a rogue. There's a little more left over. This heartbreaking state did not last long, and Thrall's body shook violently as he crazily devoured everything. Under the instant vibration, an extremely vast momentum suddenly burst out, and even the surrounding space formed space ripples like water waves, spreading in all directions. At the same time, the Ziwu domain, which had just returned to calm, was shaken violently again, causing another collapse in the sky above the domain where the main structure was greatly affected. The people in the field who had just experienced the apocalyptic catastrophe once again felt the familiar shock. They were all like frightened birds, and the fear that had not completely dissipated reappeared in their eyes. What happened again? Did the collector break up with that being? This is the first thought on everyone's mind. However, this shock came quickly and was short-lived. After a wave of violent earthquakes, the Ziwu domain returned to its original state. The black particles that had made everyone despair before did not have the momentum to reappear. It actually broke through. At the moment, facing the initiator of another panic in the Ziwu realm, Collector's eyes were filled with shock and awe. Although his strength is not strong, the knowledge brought by his long lifespan of countless years is quite good. After feeling that the surge of momentum in Thrall is like a Jedi flood breaking through a certain limit, and the pressure of the breath released is completely different, Collector, it was already understood that Sal had completed another terrifying breakthrough. Sal's face was also filled with joy. After completely swallowing the spinal fluid of the gods and the heads of the Ziwu domain celestials, his strength has skyrocketed to the level of breaking through the planet level. Thrall could vaguely detect levels above the planet level, but he was still missing the mark. This crazy devouring in the collector's treasure house gave Thrall a timely opportunity to absorb a wide variety of majestic energies, break through the shackles in one fell swoop, and rise to the terrifying level sub-godfather. Lord Thrall, your improvement in strength is truly terrifying. I'm afraid even Lord Planet Devourer will be proud of you. The collector looked in awe and spoke in sincere admiration. Thrall's aura, which was fluctuating like a tide, completely calmed down after some turbulence, and the strength of level sub-godfather has been stabilized. Thrall couldn't help but feel a little proud of collector's compliment. The black sand-like particles had transformed into clusters of nebula particles like mysterious nebulae, and began to be rapidly recycled, all integrated into Thrall's body. This time the devouring was over, and Thrall was quite satisfied with the result. Collector, it's all thanks to you that my strength can improve so quickly. If anyone comes to cause trouble in the future, you can report my name. When he was in a happy mood, Thrall didn't mind giving the collector a big stick and candies. He still knew when to win people's hearts. Collector, who was still heartbroken when he saw the large crystal display cabinets empty, finally looked much better when he heard Sal's words. Sal's words were at least a good guarantee for him. Although Collector was shocked by Sal's level sub-godfather's strength, he was not overly shocked. What he cared about was the thick and extremely thick thigh on Sal's back. For this reason, Collector seized the opportunity to compliment him again. The old monster who had lived for countless years flattered him, and even Thrall looked a little arrogant. Okay, Collector, our previous misunderstanding is almost resolved. I will leave soon. Sal's words brought a heartfelt smile to Collector's face. After struggling for so long, now the God of Plague is finally leaving. I found an interesting thing deep in your collection. Can you introduce it to me? Just as Collector was breathing a sigh of relief, Thrall moved his hand, and a mysterious crystal the size of a goose egg file appeared in his palm. This crystal looks extremely mysterious. It is not only densely covered with complicated and strange patterns, but also has a subtle luster flowing through it, as if it is alive. Seeing this thing, the smile on Collector's face suddenly froze. Lord Thrall, this thing is of no use to you. It does not have rich energy. Even if it is swallowed, it will be difficult to help you. The reason why I collect it is just because it looks good. Collector spoke quickly, looking away from the crystal in Sal's hand, and said casually. However, Sal was keenly aware that after Collector saw the special item in Sal's hand, Collector's face became stiff for a moment. Although he stopped quickly, at the moment, Collector's heartbeat rate was faster than before. More than twice as much. These abnormal reactions have already made Sal aware of it. The reason why he discovered this strange crystal was by chance. Among the many collections of the collector, this crystal was placed in the deepest part of the collection, juxtaposed with several extremely valuable treasures. Its preciousness is self-evident. That's why Sal took it out of curiosity. With Collector's abnormal reaction, Thrall's eyes fell on the crystal in his hand with interest, while he quietly observed Collector's reaction with his peripheral vision. In Sal's palm, the energy fluctuations released by the mysterious crystal were minimal. It was exactly what the Collector said. Even if he swallowed the crystal, it would not help. However, as groups of nebula-like dreamy particles surged out of Sal's palm and slowly wrapped around the entire crystal, Sal's eyes showed slight fluctuations. From the corner of Sal's eyes, he could clearly see that after the mysterious crystal was wrapped by the nebula particles, the Collector was extremely nervous. Although he tried his best to stay calm, his body was unnaturally tight, and his eyes could wander. Now staring at Thrall's palm with all his attention. A crystal that is just good-looking, does it make Collector so nervous? Sal sneered in his heart. Without worrying about the Collector, Thrall controlled the nebula particles and swallowed the entire crystal. Thrall believes that what Collector values so much is more than what it seems. As Thrall's strength has increased dramatically, the swallowed particles have evolved into nebula particles. The swallowing ability has been enhanced by unknown times. However, even if the swallowing ability of the nebula particles has been greatly enhanced, when encountering the crystal, it will not be swallowed easy. Thrall could clearly sense that when he was trying to control the nebula particles to engulf the spar, there was an extremely powerful force in the strange lines flowing with faint light on the surface of the spar, trying its best to resist this swallowing. The tenacious resistance of the crystal not only did not discourage Sal, but on the contrary, it also made him a little excited. Groups of flocculent nebula particles continued to surge and condense, fighting with all their strength against the resistance emanating from the surface of the crystal. Ser had an intuition that there was definitely something valuable hidden in this strange crystal. The resistance in front of him was just to protect the secret inside the crystal. In the process of fighting against the nebula particles, the flow of the complex pattern of light on the surface of the crystal became a little rough, and the light gradually dimmed. The resistance released by these mysterious lines is constant and is constantly consumed by the nebula particles controlled by Sal. However, the nebula particles controlled by Sal are almost endless. With constant replenishment and enhancement, finally at a certain moment of the confrontation between the two, they will completely overwhelmed by resistance. Kacha. As if it could no longer withstand Thrall's torture, the mysterious crystal stone made a crisp sound, and a slight crack appeared on the surface. The cracks expanded in an instant, like a whole piece of glass shattering under a heavy blow, with a crisp sound and then suddenly cracked. At the same time as the crisp sound was heard, Collector's expression changed even more with shock, and there was a look of disbelief in his eyes. Only he himself knew that after he obtained this crystal, he used countless methods to open it, but after countless years, he still failed to succeed. After the crystal broke open in Sal's hand, the nebula particles wrapped around it meekly faded away and disappeared into the body again, while a soft light slowly bloomed in Sal's hand. This light was not bright at first, but gradually became brighter, like a girl who had been sleeping for too long, slowly opening her moving eyes. After a few breaths, the crystal in Sal's hand had completely disappeared, leaving only a sky blue light group, which flickered on and off, as if he was breathing. Collector, no wonder you are so nervous. It seems that this gem can be placed in the deepest part of your collection, hiding many secrets. Thrall didn't understand the reason for this light, and his half-smiling gaze fell on the shocked collector. This, Lord Sal, The shocked collector was speechless for a moment. It's just what? I just think that I don't know the goods, and I'm not as discerning as you, so it's easier to deceive, right? It seems that the misunderstanding between us can't be resolved well, but it seems to be getting deeper. Although Sal's tone was calm and there were not many fluctuations, the expression on his face that gradually darkened made Collector feel frightened. No, that's not the case. Lord Thrall, how dare I deceive you? I really don't know much about this crystal. I have obtained it for countless years and have tried all methods to open it. Moreover, it does not have strong energy. It didn't meet your requirements, so I didn't say it. At this point, Collector didn't dare to continue lying, so he could only speak hastily with a grimace. He had sacrificed most of his collection for countless years just to satisfy Thrall. If it failed because of this crystal, he would have really lost his wife and his army. Tell me, what on earth is this? Seeing Collector's frightened look, Sal said calmly. The flashing light ball in his hand does not have any energy fluctuations. To be honest, Thrall will not really embarrass the Collector because of this trivial matter. This crystal is left behind by an ancient civilization called Goliath. At the beginning of the birth of the universe, there were no three major empires. At that time, the Goliath Empire was the strongest in the entire universe. A huge existence, civilization is unprecedentedly prosperous, and technology has developed to its limit, and it is even many times more powerful than the three major empires now. It's just that there were internal divisions within the Goliath Empire, which caused this civilization to eventually decline and disappear into history. The only thing left is this spar. According to legend, the Goliath civilization is sealed inside the spar. The crystallization of all the technology and wisdom, as long as any force can break the seal, there will be a chance to restore the prosperity of the Goliath Empire. At this time, Collector did not dare to hide anything and could only tell everything he knew. No wonder such a nothing special crystal would be placed in the deepest part of the Collector's treasure house. After hearing Collector's explanation, Sal raised his eyebrows slightly, with a thoughtful look on his face. By cracking the seal of the crystal, you can obtain the technological civilization and wisdom crystallization of the Goliath Empire, and have the opportunity to build a cosmic empire as powerful as the former Goliath. For Thrall, this is enough to make him excited. Tell me, How can I completely control this thing? After a brief pause, Thrall spoke to the Collector in a commanding tone. Facing the extremely powerful Thrall, although Collector was heartbroken, he did not dare to violate anything and could only tell the truth about everything he knew. Lord Thrall, according to the information I have obtained over the years, there is a super-intelligence wrapped in the powerful outer seal of the Goliath crystal. This intelligence can be regarded as some kind of special life. It is it, the controller. All the technology and wisdom of the Goliath Empire. After hearing Collector's words, Thrall was slightly startled, his eyes falling on the flickering light ball in his hand. When he saw this light group, Thrall vaguely noticed that although there was no strong energy fluctuation in it, there was a kind of spiritual power that he had never seen before. It seemed that it was indeed as the Collector said, this was a super-intelligence in a special sense, life. Following the Collector's guidance, Thrall also had a slight surge of spiritual power in his mind, trying to contact the light group and communicate with the super-intelligence within it. According to Collector, as long as the mental power enters the core of the light group, a certain contract is established to control the super-intelligence in the light group and let the super-intelligence in the light group recognize its master. Following the Collector's guidance, everything went smoothly. Thrall quickly received a response from the light group, and a spiritual bridge was established between the two. This feeling was quite strange. Owner. A crisp electronic sound sounded in Sal's head, and Sal knew that the person who made this sound was the super-intelligence in his hand. May I have your name? Thrall's mental power fluctuated and he heard a sentence. I was created by the Goliath Empire, and my name is Goliath Star. If the owner feels that this name is not good, it can be changed at any time. The light group vibrated and responded to Thrall. At the same time, a massive amount of information was transmitted to Thrall's brain through the connection between the light group and Thrall, and was quickly absorbed and understood by Thrall. This massive amount of information includes the origin and history of the Goliath Empire, as well as an introduction to the scientific and technological wisdom of the Goliath Empire. With Sal's powerful strength, although this information was massive, it only took him a moment to fully digest it. Following Thrall's thought, the light of the Goliath Star quickly converged, moved closer to the back of Thrall's hand, and then magically merged into the flesh and blood on the back of Thrall's hand. It looked like a ball of light slowly sinking into the back of Sal's hand, but Sal did not feel any discomfort, except that the skin on the back of his hand was slightly numb. After the light disappeared, a strange symbol clearly appeared on the back of Thrall's hand. It was very similar to the complex pattern flowing on the surface of the Goliath crystal before it was broken, but it was much simpler. Lord Thrall, did you succeed? Seeing this scene, Collector could not understand that this inestimable Goliath star no longer belonged to him. Thrall nodded slightly, temporarily withdrawing his mind from the Goliath star. With the Star of Goliath, Thrall is equivalent to possessing a huge treasure trove of knowledge and technology. Although this super-intelligence cannot significantly help improve his strength, if one day, Thrall establishes his own power, the Star of Goliath will allow this force to rise rapidly, and it will not be difficult to reach or even surpass the three major empires of the universe in a short period of time. Collector, you have also seen my situation. I need to consume energy to increase my strength. It must be refined and large enough. As the Elder of the Universe, you are more familiar with this universe than I am. You should be able to give me some hints, right? Having accomplished the set goal, Thrall was not going to continue wasting time with Collector, who was apologetic and complimentary, so he just asked Collector to see if he could find a good place for himself. The God of Plague is finally leaving. A flash of excitement flashed in Collector's eyes, and the smile on his face instantly became countless times more sincere, and he began to think about Thrall's needs. Lord Thrall, if you only need huge energy to swallow, there are many such places in the universe. However, most of these places are controlled by the three empires. I know one place that has not yet been controlled by the three empires. Quote. After a brief thought, Collector's heart moved and he already had the answer. Among the galaxies a few galaxies away from the solar system, there is a living planet called Sovereign. The sovereigns on this planet have developed a special energy battery. A small battery contains majestic energy, and it's very pure. Sovereign is the conclusion that the Collector came to based on Thrall's strength and requirements. When it comes to the planet Sovereign, Collector does not need to explain too much. Thrall, a time traveler, quickly thought of the plot related to Sovereign in the movie. It is the same force that hired the Galaxy Dance Troupe to fight monsters at the beginning of Guardians of Galaxy 2. Their characteristic is that their skin is light golden, very distinctive. The energy battery developed by the Sovereigns is concentrated and pure. From the current point of view, it is indeed the most suitable for his needs to improve his strength. Seeing the satisfied look on Sal's face, the smile in Collector's eyes became even more obvious. After experiencing these ups and downs, he finally served this ancestor well. Collector, before I leave, I have one last thing to leave to you. As long as you do it well, the benefits will be yours. Before leaving, Sal smiled slightly and said to the Collector a little seriously, Lord Thrall, if you need anything, just ask, as long as I can do it. Seeing Sal's expression, Collector didn't dare to neglect, and quickly confirmed his words, saying nice words. Help me pay attention to the clues of the infinite gems in the universe. If there is any news, notify me as soon as possible. Infinite gems. These words made Collector's body tremble, and his eyes widened a little. He never expected that Thrall would have his mind set on infinite gems. You know, infinite gems are considered the most powerful divine objects in the entire universe. At the beginning of the birth of the universe, a total of 6 cosmic gems appeared: the green time gem, the yellow mind gem, the purple power gem, the blue space gem, the blood red reality gem, and the orange soul gem. These 6 gems represent the ultimate power among the 6 universes. As long as each gem appears in this world, it will set off huge waves in the entire universe. Thrall is really bold and has strong ambitions for the infinite gems. However, Collector then thought about it. With Thrall's identity and his terrifying ability, he was about to target the infinite gems. I'm afraid not many people would dare to compete with him. Lord Thrall, don't worry, I will do my best to find clues about the infinite gems. As soon as there is news, I will notify you as soon as possible. Aware of Thrall's huge ambition, Collector gave a solemn assurance. However, as an old monster that has existed for countless years, he did not say anything to death and left a lot of room for thought. Very well, Collector, remember your promise. If one day I find that you are perfunctory with me, don't blame me for coming back and burning your collection. Sal said half-jokingly, and his body was already being lifted up by the nebula particles, erupting with powerful momentum and rising into the sky towards the outside of the Ziwu realm. Perceiving Thrall's terrifying aura, he quickly left the realm of knowledge and ignorance. The Collector was completely relieved. After Thrall left, he probably wouldn't appear in front of him again in a short time. However, thinking of Thrall's warning when he left, Collector was a little nervous and had to pay attention to the matter of infinite gems. Follow up to investigate the clues of the infinite gems in the entire universe. An order quickly spread from the Ziwu realm to the powerful Diffin industry. Countless people walked in the vast universe, searching for traces of infinite gems. After Thrall left, the Ziwu realm once again fell into peace, but everything that happened before quickly caused huge amounts of shock in most of the universe. In the chaotic realm of ignorance, there are not only desperate predators living in every corner of the universe but also various forces that are intertwined. Thrall came to the Ziwu realm and made such huge amounts of noise, and the news naturally leaked out. When Thrall's true form appeared in the Ziwu realm, many people saw it with their own eyes, and the communication between Thrall and the Collector was not deliberately concealed or covered up. There is no airtight wall in the world. The general story of what happened between Thrall and the Collector was soon revealed clearly by the intelligence personnel deployed by various forces in the Ziwu realm. This information was also immediately reported to countless powerful people. Among the forces, Sal Galan, the swallowing particles that enveloped the entire Ziwu realm and almost completely destroyed it, and the Collector's respectful attitude that made people's jaws drop. When these key pieces of information appeared in the hands of the top leaders of various forces, it immediately caused huge amounts of shock. The forces that can collect specific intelligence are all terrifying forces that dominate large swaths of the starry sky. They have powerful information and intelligence networks. These things alone have allowed their senior officials to clearly determine the identity of the instigator. Sargaran, the son of the creation god, came to the Ziwu realm and clashed with the Collector, almost destroying the entire Ziwu realm, and finally ended with the Collector's compromise. This is the conclusion reached by many forces. There is no need to think more, and the strict orders have been passed down level by level. Sal Galan is a being that must not be messed with. No matter what the circumstances, we can only make friends with him and never offend him. This order was the consensus reached by all the forces who knew Thrall's identity. It also caused a shocking wave among his forces and made countless people feel awe-inspiring. For a time, the name Sal Garland was spread word of mouth by countless people, and he became the most discussed figure in secret exchanges among many powerful forces. Definitely, Thrall, who has left the realm of knowledge and ignorance, does not know all this. Even if I knew, I probably wouldn't take it to heart. Thrall at the moment, several star fields away from the Ziwu realm, was heading towards the sovereign planet according to the cosmic coordinates given by the collector. The strength has reached level sub-godfather. With the natural advantages of inheritance, Thrall's true combat power far exceeds that of the same level. However, he still has a little flaw. That is speed. The universe is too vast, and Thrall's speed of traveling through the universe still cannot satisfy him. At my current speed, it will probably take several days to reach Sovereign. It's still too slow. After determining the general direction, Thrall controlled his body to shuttle rapidly through the universe, and couldn't help but have some thoughts in his heart. It would be perfect if you could reach level universe, or master some kind of unlimited teleportation ability, such as ultra-long distance space transfer magic. During the boring flight, Thrall couldn't help but look forward to it. However, if Thrall's random thoughts were known to other powerful men who were also level sub-godfathers, they would probably spit out blood. You must know that the existence of level sub-godfather, although he has entered the forest of strong men in the universe and has the capital to travel the universe, but someone who can travel through more than a dozen star fields like Thrall without taking a breath, I am afraid that in the entire universe, can't find the second one. Although many level sub-godfathers are able to travel in this vast universe without relying on external forces, the energy consumption is very terrible and cannot be sustained at all. Even if they are more powerful, they will choose to drive a battleship to travel, which is easy and trouble-free. Thrall is an outlier among them. Compared with those strong men, he is still too young and has a lot of curiosity about the universe. Compared to driving a warship and constantly jumping through space, Thrall felt that it was more comfortable to swim freely like this when he was alone. Along the way, Thrall would occasionally stop briefly because he sensed areas with energy fluctuations, release nebula particles all over the sky, and casually make tooth sacrifices to replenish some consumption. In space, in addition to space junk, there are also some good things that occasionally appear, such as energy-rich special meteorites and starry behemoths. As he was approaching the sovereign star territory, Thrall passed through a huge and chaotic meteorite belt. This meteorite belt, no matter how deep it is, has reached an extremely majestic level. It can be seen in the distant sky, like a huge amount of scar across the star field, and chaotic fluctuations erupt in it. In the meteorite belt, meteorites large and small are constantly moving without rules. Some meteorites are so huge that they are almost close to comets, and their speed is extremely terrifying. They are running rampant in the meteorite belt, and even the space is trembling. Normally, any space fleet facing such a violent and huge amounts of meteorite belt area will choose to avoid it. Otherwise, if it is accidentally hit by a huge amount of meteorite, it will be the end of the ship being destroyed and everyone killed. But Sal was different. This kind of meteorite belt happened to be what he was interested in. Being inaccessible also means that the good things that may exist there have not been discovered. Before going out to explore, Sal had heard his father talk about various secrets of the universe. According to Galactus, the artifacts in this universe are magnificent, and there are too many unknowns and secrets. Many of the terrifying artifacts in the universe are made from dangerous environments such as meteorite belts. It was precisely because of this that after Thrall saw the meteorite belt, he rushed in without hesitation. Firstly, because of the legend told by Galactus, he had some luck. Secondly, with Thrall's strength, a chaotic meteorite belt might be fatal to others, but he could easily swim in it. The fluffy nebula particles burst out, completely covering Sal's body, like a real nebula, cutting into the scar of the star field. The chaotic meteorite flow has not changed in any way because of Thrall's arrival. It is still speeding and colliding in an orderly manner. However, as long as it enters the nebula field opened by Thrall, No matter how violent it is, once it enters, it will all be silent and all will be destroyed. Devoured completely. Compared to the energetic celestial core and celestial spinal fluid, these meteorites taste like nothing when swallowed, but in this way, at least it can ensure that Thrall is not disturbed and can freely explore this meteorite belt. After walking forward, Thrall ate a lot of file-size meteorites that had almost no energy. However, Thrall didn't even see a hair of the legendary materials and artifacts with terrible power. This made him I couldn't help but feel a little discouraged. In his lack of interest, Thrall was too lazy to continue to aimlessly hit his luck in the meteorite belt. He controlled the huge nebula field and penetrated all the way deep into the meteorite belt, preparing to penetrate the entire meteorite belt in the direction of Sovereign. Forward. But fate is so wonderful sometimes. Ouch. When Thrall penetrated almost half of the meteorite belt and passed through the densest core of the meteorite to the other side, a shocking roar sounded, followed by a powerful blazing energy impact. Chapter 11. The strong energy impact came, causing Sal's eyes to condense slightly, and a look of interest appeared on his face. There was actually some kind of life in this terrifying meteorite belt, and it launched an attack on him. As soon as the thought came to mind, the lucky field shook slightly, and the violent energy impact disappeared into it in an instant, just like a pebble dropped on a calm lake, with only a few ripples, which quickly disappeared invisible. Diffusing the attack at will, Thrall's eyes quickly discovered the creature attacking him. This is a giant beast. Its whole body is wrapped in hard scales, its body is slender, almost 100 meters long. At the moment it is hovering on a huge meteorite that emits light, with huge amounts of head held high, a pair of vertical pupils staring at itself, eyes there is wariness and anger. Seeing that the energy shock he sprayed had not made any achievements in Thrall's lucky field, the giant beast seemed a little angry. It roared lowly at Thrall, the intruder, and gradually stretched its body. Thrall was slightly startled when he saw the giant beast. Although he could not recognize the identity of this giant beast, as a time traveler, Thrall was slightly startled when he saw the appearance of the giant beast clearly. He couldn't help but think of the only existence that he knew before he traveled through time, to legendary creatures. Dragon. This giant beast is indeed very similar to the legendary Eastern dragon. Although it does not have the supernatural power of the dragon, it is more ferocious and domineering than the legendary dragon. Facing the giant beast that was demonstrating towards him, Thrall's expression of interest became even more intense. The nebula field shrank rapidly, and his figure quickly appeared in front of the giant beast. When the nebula domain shrank, the giant beast was still a little surprised. Its huge body twisted and stared at Thrall warily. However, upon seeing Thrall's true form, most of the vigilance in the giant beast's vertical pupils dissipated. In its view, such an insignificant existence as Thrall posed almost no threat to it. The huge body twisted, the giant beast opened its mouth, and bit down on the meteorite it was resting on. A pair of sharp teeth bit the stone that emitted energy fluctuations. The solid stone suddenly shattered, and a large piece was swallowed by the giant beast. Next, the big mouth opens and closes, chewing continuously. While chewing, the starry sky beast also deliberately exposed its ferocious fangs, obviously telling Sal that if it was angered, a little guy like Sal would only be able to fit between its teeth. Interesting. I didn't expect that you, like me, have the same swallowing ability as me. I just don't know how far your swallowing can reach. Seeing this scene, Thrall smiled slightly, and his interest in the giant beast in front of him doubled. The energy meteorite entrenched by the giant beast contained rich energy. Seeing it look like protecting food, Sal smiled a little. Hey, little guy, I won't compete with you for food. Are you willing to come with me and I'll take you out of here to find more delicious food? Thrall was so happy to encounter such a strange starry sky beast that he already had the idea of conquering it. Thrall conveyed this sentence to the huge starry sky beast in front of him through his spiritual power. Although the language was not clear, I believe that all intelligent beings can understand the communication on the spiritual level. When communicating with the starry sky beast, Thrall's spiritual power contained a strong sense of bewitchment. He could see that although this starry sky beast was not very powerful now, it was still in its infancy. It should have been relatively simple in mind since its birth in this meteorite belt. Roar. Thrall responded with a low roar, and the starry sky beast looked at him with a bit of disdain. It was obvious that Thrall was despised by this starry beast. The starry sky beast was completely unmoved by Sal's bewitchment. What the petite Sal said was not very convincing. In response to this, Thrall's face darkened. The son of the majestic creation god would be despised by a starry sky beast whose strength was not at most planet level. Don't say I didn't give you a chance. Now be obedient and follow me, and you can avoid getting beaten. Otherwise, your Uncle Sal's fists are quite hard. Seeing that normal communication could no longer achieve his goal, Thrall issued an ultimatum and prepared to use body language to make the starry sky beast surrender. The so-called body language, in Sal's view, is fist-talking. Seeing Thrall stalking him, the starry sky beast felt as if it was being provoked by a bug. It showed no sign at all. A ball of energy burst out from its giant mouth in an instant and swept towards Thrall. You don't know what's good or bad. I let you follow me to give you face. Thrall snorted and turned a blind eye to the energy impact. Nebula particles flowed in front of him, forming a defensive shield in an instant, firmly protecting his body. Immediately, more majestic nebula particles rushed out of Thrall's body, completely wrapping him in it, and began to accumulate and transform. When this strange change stopped, what appeared in front of the starry sky giant was a giant made entirely of nebula particles. Thrall was between the starry sky giant's eyebrows, overlooking all living beings. But in the blink of an eye, the little one in front of the starry sky beast has turned into a towering giant. With a height of several hundred meters and an unparalleled powerful aura, the nebula particles changed and solidified from a state of flowing like water, condensing into a set of powerful armor to wrap the giant's body. On the giant's back, the nebula particles condensed into a giant sword, with a strange luster flowing, and the pressure it exuded was extremely powerful. The meteorites impacting from the surroundings hit the armor of nebula giant Thrall and shattered directly without any suspense. Susano. Thrall sighed with some humor in his heart, and then his eyes fell on the astonished starry sky beast. Who is older and who is younger now? After the transformation, the contrast between Thrall and the starry sky beast suddenly changed. Now the starry sky beast has become a little thing in front of Thrall. Roar! The giant beast in the starry sky roared loudly. Although it was full of power, it sounded a little lack of courage. On the surface of the starry sky beast's body, there are streaks of brilliant light flowing, covering its entire body, and its momentum gradually explodes. Oh, and this one, now it seems that it meets the standards of synthesis as my mount. Seeing the majestic light on the starry sky beast, Thrall liked this beast even more, and had already made up his mind to tame it and make it his own mount. It looks ferocious, has a huge body, and can emit light. If such a transportation tool appears in front of people, it will be quite popular. But now, we must first make this guy surrender. Thinking of this, the smile on Sal's face in the middle of Susan's eyebrows became a bit colder. Huge amounts of fists set off violent fluctuations at a speed completely inconsistent with his size, and punched towards the starry sky beast. Under such rapid speed, the starry sky beast almost didn't react, and with a loud bang, it received a solid punch from Thrall. With a cry of pain, many of the strong scales on the starry sky beast exploded, and its huge body was thrown away, smashing many meteorites into pieces along the way, and then stopped after drawing a long trajectory. I was a little dizzy for a while and didn't react for a while. After receiving Thrall's punch, dark red blood was already flowing down the starry sky beast's body. On the body of the starry sky beast that was injured by Thrall, blood spread across the blazing magic lines on the body's surface, stimulating its ferocity. As the starry sky beast roared angrily, the magic patterns on its body suddenly became blazing, and a wave of even more powerful momentum erupted, its prestige almost doubling that of before. Feeling that the starry sky beast had withstood his solid punch, not only did it not slump, but its strength also doubled. The look of satisfaction on Thrall's face became even more intense. Only one with such terrifying potential is worthy of being his mount. Come on, baby, let me play with you. The starry sky beast in an angry state has also experienced a surge in strength. The injuries caused by Thrall's punch just now are now healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few breaths, no scars can be seen at all, and the solid scales are no longer visible. Also condensed from lumps of energy again and became an entity. In this state, the starry sky beast's body suddenly swelled, but compared to Thrall who used Susanoo, it still didn't look good enough. Gotcha. After recovering from its injuries, the starry sky beast bit down on the energy meteorite that was firmly grasped by its claws, and began to swallow it up quickly. It rubbed its huge mouth up and down, and swallowed up the huge amounts of meteorite in a few mouthfuls. Seeing the starry sky beast recover and devour it, Thrall did not take action, but observed with great interest, already having a better understanding of the starry sky beast's ability. After the starry sky behemoth devoured it, it accumulated more energy, and obviously gained a lot of confidence. It stared at Thrall with its vertical eyes, and after a roar, it shot towards Thrall at the same speed. The giant tail swept across, and the tyrannical force even caused the space in the meteorite belt to tremble slightly. There was a faint spatial fluctuation, and it landed directly on the chest of the armored giant Thrall. This blow is the strongest explosion under the pure physical attack of the starry sky beast. The majestic energy blessing fully demonstrates the innate advantages of the body. With the perfect combination of speed and strength, when a sound explodes, the giant tail it had hit the armor on the chest of the armored giant. Boom! Facing the attack of the starry sky beast, Thrall was not unable to dodge, but wanted to test the power of the starry sky beast. Definitely, he is quite confident in his huge body constructed of nebula particles. Withstanding this powerful blow that faintly shook the space, the giant Thrall couldn't help but take half a step back. There was a slight dent in the chest of the powerful armor solidified by the nebula particles. The accuracy is pretty good, but it's just not exciting. After taking half a step back, giant Thrall grinned. This majestic force bombarded the armor. The nebula particle armor, which originally had powerful devouring properties, had absorbed 56ths of the force. The remaining force still caused the armor to shapeshift slightly, although it recovered in the blink of an eye. Come over, but the power of this starry sky beast has reached a standard that Thrall is satisfied with. At the moment, Thrall looked at the starry sky beast with teasing and contempt, just like the way the starry sky beast looked at him before, which made the starry sky beast a little confused for a while. You don't have the strength to hit anyone, come again. After a slight shock, giant Thrall spoke again. As a starry sky beast, it is the overlord in this meteorite belt. Facing Thrall's repeated provocations today, its anger has reached its extreme. It roared crazily and continuously bombarded the nebula giant's body. The starry sky beast that reached the extreme speed and power completely turned into a phantom. Under the crazy attack, huge amounts of roars were heard continuously erupting from the nebula giant's body, and dents appeared in different positions of the nebula's transformed armor. However, the crazy attack of the starry sky monster is limited to this. With its strength that is less than the planet level, even if it explodes with all its strength, it is impossible to break through the defense constructed by the nebula particles. Under the crazy impact, its power consumption was huge, and its speed gradually slowed down. This explosion of anger made the starry sky beast more frightened the more it attacked. As a very high-level life form in the universe, its intelligence was almost as good as that of humans. After its anger was released, it gradually became a little frightened. Under its crazy outburst, the opponent had no intention of defending at all. Its most powerful force bombarded the opponent for a long time without even having any effect on the opponent's armor. The gulf-like strength gap between the two is obvious. Snapped. After fully understanding the strength of the starry sky beast, the nebula giant waved his hand and slapped the starry sky beast away with a light slap. Little guy, I've been tickling your Uncle Sal for a long time. It's time for me to change. Seeing that the body of the starry sky beast that had stopped had returned to its normal state, and that its body was still undulating violently. It was obvious that this crazy attack consumed a lot of energy, and Thrall had a bright smile on his face. Immediately, the nebula giant slapped the giant starry sky beast with a big palm, which had little power to fight back. Paw, 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 a series of sounds sounded. At the moment, the starry sky beast consumes a huge amount of energy and physical energy. It cannot keep up with the speed of the nebula giant controlled by Thrall, and can only be beaten passively. Thrall's control of power is very precise, ensuring that every blow lands firmly on the starry sky beast, causing pain but not causing too much damage to it. It's like a father beating his son. Status. Are you happy? Are you still arrogant? While, Papa, Sal asked with a smile. Amidst the non-stop, snap-bang, the starry sky beast's blazing eyes gradually changed, its frantically struggling body softened, and a trace of fear gradually appeared deep in its eyes. Thrall's huge slap in the face caused the giant starry sky beast to almost fall apart. In the end, the giant starry sky beast was almost swollen due to him, and could only helplessly curl up its body as much as possible to reduce the impact. Pain. Are you convinced? Do you want to follow me? During this spanking, Sal was having a great time. He gradually became obsessed with this pleasure and could hardly stop. Ouch! Thrall's education finally made the starry sky beast completely surrender to his lustful power, and let out a pleading howl, completely giving in. Hearing the pleading voice of the starry sky beast, Thrall, who was extremely happy, stopped and seemed a little unfinished. He grabbed the starry sky beast and placed it in front of his eyes. From now on, I am your master. As long as you surrender to me wholeheartedly, I will not only bring you popular food and drink, but also let you quickly improve your strength. Maybe one day when you are in a good mood, you can find a mother star sky giant beast. I'm here to play with you. Ah, you must be a male, right? Facing the starry sky beast that was completely powerless to fight back, Thrall said with a smile. Regarding Thrall's words, the starry sky beast, which was already frightened, nodded meekly and did not dare to have any dissatisfaction at all. In fact, as a starry sky beast, it is a quite special existence. Even it itself does not know whether it is male or not. However, at this time, the starry sky beast obviously did not dare to have any objections. From the first time it saw Thrall breaking into its territory, the starry sky beast thought that Thrall was eyeing its food and attacked it. Later, when it saw Thrall's true form was extremely small, its disdainful attitude, and now, the originally small Thrall showed a power that made him completely unable to resist. The starry sky beast, which was not complicated in his mind, simply chose to obey and surrender to Thrall, his master. It would be great if it was like this. Come with me now. From now on, I will hang out with Uncle Sal. It will be 10,000 times better to keep it than to stay in a place like this where birds don't shit. Thrall laughed, and the huge body of the nebula giant dissipated. He stepped on the head of the starry sky beast in one step, and pointed out the direction of Sovereign Star. Let's go, I'll take you to have a nice meal. Hearing Sal's words, the starry sky beast suddenly became much more excited. After a low roar, its body quickly moved in the direction Sal pointed. With the behemoth of the starry sky taking his place, Thrall would have a lot of peace of mind. Moreover, the starry sky beast was originally born in the starry sky, and is more suitable for long-distance travel than Thrall. Whether it is speed or endurance, although it is not as good as Thrall, it is still quite good, which makes Thrall very satisfied. Little guy, since you are following Uncle Sal, how can you not have a cool name? From now on, I will call you Starry Sky Dragon. Xiaolong. Obtaining the starry sky beast put Thrall in a good mood along the way, and he communicated with the starry sky beast at every turn. The starry sky beast has been staying in the meteorite belt since it can remember, and has never left. Based on the simple mental communication between it and Thrall, Thrall understood that this meteorite belt is vast, connecting more than one star field, and even running through the distance of several star fields. In addition to countless chaotic meteorites, there are really many less good stuff. The starry sky beast is able to possess its current strength precisely because it has been devoured by many good things in the meteorite belt. However, Thrall was not very interested in the treasure mentioned by the starry sky beast. Xiaolong, it seems that you have been in the meteorite belt for a long time and don't know what the real good things are. I will show you what is a treasure. Thrall looked like a country bumpkin and dismissed the treasures mentioned by the starry sky beast. Although the starry sky beast did not quite agree with Sal's words, it was still a little excited. Without Sal's instructions, it accelerated its speed and got closer and closer to the planet Sovereign. One man and one horse turned into streams of light, and after traveling through several star fields, they finally arrived at the star field where Sovereign's planet was located. According to Thrall's understanding of the planet Sovereign, this entire star field is Sovereign's territory, but the number of people on Sovereign is not too large. Almost all of them live on Sovereign, and there are no colonize this star field. When crossing the boundary between the two star fields, Thrall vaguely noticed that there was a group of energy fluctuations attracting him somewhere in the center of the star field. If nothing else, it was the destination of his trip, solo. Varen Star. Xiaolong, speed up, hurry up for me, or else there will be nothing to eat. With a slight smile, Thrall gave a low shout, and the starry sky beast also increased its speed, passing through the somewhat desolate uninhabited planets. Soon, in the field of vision of Thrall and the starry sky beast, a golden planet wrapped in a dense atmosphere was already in sight. This golden planet is quite strange. This is the first time Sal has seen such a golden planet. It means that there should be some kind of special rich energy in it that can evolve life. It has to be said that it is a miracle in the universe. Ouch! Thrall was not the only one to feel the strangeness of this planet. The starry sky beast that had recently become its mount also let out an excited roar, and his roar did not hide his desire for a full meal. Now you know how rubbish those treasures in the meteorite belt you told me about before are. Thrall, the master, saw the starry sky beast in an excited and uncontrollable state, and mocked him mercilessly. Roar! Another roar sounded, with a strong sense of ferocity. Xiaolong, you still dare to hurt me, but why did your voice change? Thrall, who was staring intently at the sovereign planet, was slightly startled when he heard the roar. The roar did not seem to come from the starry beast beneath him. Soon, Thrall found the source of the roar. It was indeed not the star beast sitting down, but another strange monster. This monster is also a kind of giant beast from another dimension, but it is much uglier than his mount. It has a huge amount of head and a huge hollow body like a bag, full of octopus-like tentacles. The giant mouth opened to reveal a circle of ferocious fangs, and at the moment it was roaring towards his location. Seeing the face of this monster clearly, Thrall was slightly startled. Isn't this the same monster that ate the steel titanium battery on the planet Sovereign in the movie Guardians of Galaxy? It seems that this monster originally lived in a different dimensional universe. It also noticed the fluctuations of the energy battery on Sovereign, so it lurked in the starry sky and waited for opportunities. Now it bumped into the starry sky beast controlled by Thrall, and suddenly there was a feeling that the territory was being invaded, so he let out an angry roar of intimidation. Thrall, who was looking at the sovereign star, was disturbed by this monster. He suddenly felt a little unhappy and patted the starry sky beast that was sitting down. Ouch! The starry sky monster, who was also unhappy, took a sharp breath, opened its mouth, and let out a loud roar, which was much more shocking than the ugly monster opposite. There was a faint smell of dragon roar in it, and it carried the domineering aura of dominion over the world. This huge roar created a rolling sound wave that reverberated away. The starry sky dragon originally lived in space, and its sound could be transmitted even in the void, which was full of intimidation. Under the roar of starry sky dragon, the monster on the opposite side felt the powerful aura of starry sky dragon, and the ferocity in its eyes converged, but it was reluctant to retreat, and still insisted on blocking Thrall and starry sky dragon, wanting to guard its own territory. Ignorant of good and evil, starry sky dragon had already given the opponent a warning, but this monster still couldn't tell the huge gap in strength. Thrall, who was focused on the sovereign planet, snorted coldly and had no intention of continuing to entangle with it. I saw nebula particles spreading on the tips of Thrall's fingers, and soon formed a small blade, which became more solid as Thrall raised his hand. The dreamlike starry sky-like blade was extremely sharp. Thrall flicked it away and flew out, turning into a black light. It broke through the distance limit in an instant and shot towards the monster. With a pop sound, the entire pitch-black sword blade was completely immersed in the monster's neck, bringing up a pool of blood with a faint green glow. This seemingly light blow has actually caused great damage to the monster. The blade is formed from the nebula particles of Thrall's original power. In addition to its powerful attack power, it also has terrifying devouring power. The nebula particles enter the monster's body and are like poison. They will devour the monster's flesh and energy at any time, slowly swallowing it whole bit by bit. It is simply a terrible torture that is worse than death. The monster that was hit by Thrall only let out a scream of horror. In the midst of huge amounts of fear, it no longer regained its previous ferocity. With its momentum low, it turned around and ran away without any intention of lingering. Seeing Thrall's attack, he almost killed the monster with a casual move. There was a lot of awe in the eyes of the starry sky beast. Xiaolong, hurry up, I'm going to be hungry even if you're not hungry. Seeing the monster escaping, Thrall had no intention of pursuing it and reminded the Starry Sky Beast. The Starry Sky Beast's body trembled slightly, its eyes showed excitement again, and it quickly headed towards the Golden Planet Sovereign. Xiaolong, behave well later. If you make me proud, Sovereign steel titanium batteries will be your snacks from now on. When approaching Sovereign, Thrall said something to the Starry Sky Beast, which made the Starry Sky Beast even more excited and accelerated one after another. Although I don't understand what a steel titanium battery is, the Starry Sky Beast's intuition can be mentioned by Sal. It is definitely delicious food. However, good things often take a long time. When Thrall was driving the Starry Beast and was about to approach the Golden Sovereign planet, a huge fleet appeared in front of them. The entire fleet showed a brilliant golden color. The battleship was not too big. It was even smaller than a regular battleship by a point or two. On the front of the battleship, there was a huge amount of projection screen, which clearly showed a golden face. Sovereign Drone Fleet. The first time he saw this fleet, Thrall recognized it. It was Sovereign's famous unmanned fleet. The planet Sovereign is famous because, on the one hand, the rulers of the planet, the Sovereigns, are quite arrogant and conceited. They believe that they are the most genetically perfect and perfect beings in the universe and look down on all other life. On the other hand, this planet is Sovereign's drone fleet. Unmanned fleet, as the name suggests, there is no one person in the entire fleet. The daily driving and attacking of the battleship are all remotely controlled by the Sovereigns. Therefore, a lot of space can be saved to reduce the size of the battleship and improve its maneuverability. Moreover, even if the battleship is damaged during the war, not a single Sovereign will die. The Sovereigns believe that each of them is a creature with the most perfect genetic sequence in the universe, and the death of any one person is unacceptable. In fact, in Sal's opinion, these can only show that the Sovereigns are weaklings who are afraid of death. The fleet that intercepted Thrall and the Starry Sky Beast had already transmitted the captured footage to Sovereign. At the moment, Sovereign's supreme ruler, High Priest Aisha, and several of his highly respected commanders all stood in front of a huge amount of projection. Master High Priest, we have been able to confirm that this monster of huge amounts is not a creature from our star domain. Its appearance here has caused a huge threat to life on the planet. A commander reported to the beautiful High Priest. High Priest, a lot of the steel titanium batteries on our planet were stolen by invading monsters. It should be this monster. We must kill it. Another commander also held huge amounts of hostility towards the Starry Sky Beast and made a decisive judgment. However, judging from the previous surveillance footage, the monster that stole the energy battery has many tentacles, and it is not the same one as the current one. A Sovereign battleship pilot whispered. Armand, shut up. This monster is the same monster that stole the battery before. What, are you questioning my judgment? Interrupted by a small battleship pilot under his command, the commander was immediately furious. There was a cold threat in his vicious eyes, telling the pilot who had just spoken to shut up. Master High Priest. The eyes of several commanders fell on High Priest Aisha, waiting for her decision. Whether it is a monster that steals batteries or not, since it dares to appear outside the Sovereign planet, let the fleet destroy this monster. Aisha spoke arrogantly. After receiving a yes's order, the commander who had just scolded his subordinates suddenly nodded respectfully, turned around and showed a cruel smile, facing all the pilots who were driving the warship remotely. All fighter planes obey orders, use full firepower, kill without mercy. The sound with strong murderous intent echoed throughout the command center, making all the pilots look excited. Just watch, this monster will definitely die in my hands. Dream, I am Sovereign's most powerful pilot. Two losers, look at me. Amidst the continuous disputes, everyone quickly controlled their fighter planes, locked onto the Starry Sky Beast, and launched the most powerful attack. From being intercepted by the Sovereign unmanned fleet to the time they launched their attack, in just a few moments, Thrall was not given any chance to communicate. Seeing all the fighter planes frantically attacking him and the Starry Sky Beast, it was like seeing the enemy who killed his father. Although Sal was a little confused, his face gradually became colder. If I hadn't planned for you to become a force under my command, now this fleet, including your planet, would become part of my strength. Thrall murmured, and the nebula particles spread out at a speed much faster than the opponent's ferocious attack. Almost in a blink of an eye, they wrapped him and the Starry Sky Beast for protection. This entire fleet attacked like crazy at the same time, and the power was quite impressive, so Thrall had to take action. Otherwise, with the strength of the starry sky behemoth, which is not even at the planet level, it would be quite difficult to escape from such a dense attack. The attacks filled the sky with bright light, and when launched simultaneously, they almost illuminated the space outside the sovereign planet. Facing this terrifying attack that was coming towards the starry sky beast and Thrall at the same time, there was only one place where no matter how blazing the light of the attack was, it was still like a nebula, dreamy and mysterious. The overwhelming attacks came with huge amounts of waves, but after coming into contact with the nebula defense shield that wrapped Thrall and the starry sky beast, it was like a mud cow drowning in the sea. The huge amounts of explosions that I imagined did not happen, and the waves of attacks disappeared completely. When the subsequent attack came, just like before, after entering the nebula rain shield, the thunder became louder and the raindrops were lighter. The nebula energy shield still circulated slowly, and no changes were seen. This peaceful scene caused huge amounts of panic on Sovereign. What is this? The stunningly beautiful Ayessa had a look of surprise on her face, her charming and hot golden lips opened slightly unconsciously, and her arrogant chest heaved violently due to this unbelievable scene. If anyone of the opposite gender saw Aisha's demeanor, their blood would be boiling and they would be unable to bear this extreme temptation. However, the several commanders and numerous battleship pilots around Ayessa were all focused on the nebula defense cover above the huge projection that swallowed up all attacks. Never for a moment did they think that the entire sovereign unmanned fleet launched an all-out attack at the same time, but it could not even deal with an unknown star monster. High Priest, it seems that this monster's defense cannot be broken by normal attacks. This means that this monster poses a huge threat to us. Do you want to order the fleet to use? After a moment of surprise, a commander with strong nerves and a slightly stronger ability slowly came back to his senses. Order the fleet to unite and launch the strongest attack. This monster that provokes Sovereign's majesty must die. Ayessa's voice was cold, with huge amounts of anger in it. It was obvious that the fleet's first wave of attacks failed, which made her quite angry. Yes, all fighters unite and launch the strongest attack, using the Sovereign Star Destroyer cannon. The commander received Ayessa's approval and issued a terrifying order with firm eyes. It had been countless years since the Sovereign fleet had used this move. No one or warship has ever been able to survive the Sovereign Star Destroyer cannon. Thinking of this, the tension on the commander's face gradually relaxed. Upon hearing the commander's order, all the battleship pilots showed arrogant and ferocious looks on their faces, as if they had seen the monster that dared to challenge Sovereign's majesty being bombarded into ashes by Star Destroyer cannons. Facing the nebula shield released by Thrall, all the warships of the Sovereign unmanned fleet began to gather in an orderly manner. The originally loose formation, under tight and orderly control, became dense in just a few breaths. Really close together, confronting the starry sky beast. Powerful energy fluctuations erupted from each fighter plane. If it were just a battleship, it would not be surprising, but the Star Destroyer cannon of the Sovereign fleet naturally has its own special features. With a highly unified battleship attack system and precise control, all attacks can be converged into one attack, bursting out with terrifying destructive power. This kind of attack has been tried by the Sovereign fleet, and it is completely enough to penetrate a smaller star. Although it does not completely destroy a planet, its power is quite terrifying, so it is called the Sovereign Star Destroyer cannon. A picture was clearly shown on the huge screen in the Sovereign planet's combat command room. Facing hundreds of thousands of battleships, the increasingly vast and terrifying energy fluctuations, and the monsters that released strange nebula-like energy defenses did not even flinch, meaning, which made everyone even more excited. Haha, you're such a stupid monster. You didn't even make any move in the face of the fleet's joint attack. You're dead. Beast is beast, how could it be intelligent? How could it have thought that there would be a short delay when the energy of the Star Destroyer cannon was combined? This was its only chance. I think this monster is probably too frightened by the terrifying aura of the Fleet Alliance to move. It must want to beg for mercy. Begging for mercy. If you offend us, Sovereign, you will only die. Seeing such a scene, many battleship pilots relaxed and even started talking arrogantly. In their eyes, the monster that broke into Sovereign's territory was bound to die, and their previous shock was somewhat unnecessary. But, is this really the case? In the protective field formed by the nebula particles, although Thrall did not know what was wrong with the sudden change of formation of the opponent's fleet, he could clearly detect the huge energy accumulation after the fleets were combined. In response to this, Sal sneered in his heart. Although the energy contained in this level of attack is generally terrifying, it is not threatening at all to him. Even if he can withstand it completely, with the existence of super strong nebula particles with swallowing ability, it is simply childish. Could it be that the sovereigns knew that he had traveled a long distance and consumed a lot of energy, and were prepared to have the fleet replenish it for him? Under a sneer, Thrall, who was standing on the head of the starry sky beast, moved and flew into the air. In an instant, he appeared outside the nebula field and faced the entire sovereign unmanned fleet. Conceited sovereigns, for the sake of my good mood today, I can give you a chance to give up your stupidity and arrogance, and I will make you surrender more decently, otherwise, you will bear the consequences. Thrall's face was indifferent and he spoke slowly. His voice formed a wave and was still transmitted in the void, penetrating the outer atmosphere of the sovereign planet and resounding throughout the sovereign planet like an oracle. Horrified. This was the first reaction of all the sovereigns. The most shocked among them was the High Priest Aisha and several fleet commanders. Just now, the starry sky beast used a nebula-like energy barrier to withstand the continuous bombardment of the fleet, which had already made them excited. But now, at the last moment of ordering the fleet to launch the Sovereign Star Destroyer cannon, in the nebula field that shocked everyone, a person actually appeared. On the huge amounts of projection screen in the combat command room, everyone could clearly see Thrall's mouth shape, which completely matched the oracle-like voice that resounded throughout Sovereign. What kind of existence is the other party that can speak slowly in space, transmit the voice through the planet's atmosphere, and spread to every corner of the planet? Thinking of this, High Priest Aisha's charming golden face became a little pale, and it was difficult to make a decision for a while. Thinking of Thrall emerging from the nebula realm, Aisha vaguely guessed that the nebula realm that resisted the tidal bombardment of the fleet was not released by the monster, but by the unknown strong man in front of her. Master High Priest, the Star Destroyer cannon has been charged and ready. Do you want to launch an attack? A commander asked. High Priest, our opponent seems to be very powerful and may not be easy to deal with. Should we talk to him to see if there is any misunderstanding here? The other commander, who still retained some composure, hesitated before speaking cautiously. Among all sovereign fleet commanders, he was the most peaceful and conservative general, but in the eyes of others, he was a softie, so he was criticized and ostracized a lot. Snoma, is your head squeezed by the door? We have the most powerful sovereign Star Destroyer cannon, and it has been prepared and locked on the other party. What are you talking about with him at this time? Besides, you didn't hear what the other party said. What is he? He dares to open his mouth and ask the great sovereign to surrender. As soon as the general named Snoma opened his mouth, he immediately aroused strong criticism from several other commanders. The eyes looking at Snoma were full of disdain and contempt. Lord High Priest, I suggest that this arrogant provocateur and that disgusting monster be dealt with immediately. Also, a waste like Snoma is no longer suitable to continue leading the fleet. Several commanders made eye contact, and then they all spoke to Aisha. They had long been dissatisfied with Snoma, and now they just had the opportunity to not only eliminate the monsters and Thrall, but also bring down Snoma. After being bewitched by several angry commanders, the wavering Aisha also became firm. She glanced at the bloodless Snoma with some disappointment, and then nodded to a few people. Launch an attack and kill without mercy. The Sovereign Unmanned Fleet Joint Star Destroyer cannon, which had been charged, was immediately activated. After a long while of concentrated energy, Thrall was completely locked in. A golden light as thick as a mountain peak and extremely blazing was fired towards Thrall. Even the space in space could not withstand such terrifying energy. Under the violent vibration, there were faint black space cracks emerging. The opponent's attack came, and the murderous intent flashed in Sal's eyes. If I hadn't planned to use this place as my future base, this fleet and this arrogant planet would have become my food. Facing the ignorant sovereigns, Thrall became angry. The moment the terrifying Star Destroyer cannon landed in front of Thrall, an even more terrifying aura burst out from Thrall's body. The nebula particles exploded from Thrall's body, spreading instantly, completely covering the starry sky, and in the blink of an eye they came into contact with the energy rays of the Sovereign Star Destroyer cannon. The huge explosion imagined did not appear. The surface of the field formed by the dense nebula particles was penetrated by the Star Destroyer cannon with powerful attack power, and a circle of depressions appeared. Immediately, all the energy impact of the Star Destroyer cannon disappeared into the nebula field. In an instant, the area in the nebula domain that was attacked by the Star Destroyer cannon shook violently, as if it would be completely destroyed in the next second. Success. Seeing this scene, everyone in the Sovereign Command Hall showed a bit of joy in their eyes and became excited. Haha, isn't he just a waste? He gave us a false alarm. Facing our Star Destroyer cannon, any existence will only end up in ashes. Sovereign hail, we are the strongest. In the command hall, many people have already begun to celebrate. Except one person, Commander Snowma, who just spoke, looked a little pale. Could it be that this time, he overestimated his opponent? Now that Sovereign's great enemy has been eliminated by the Star Destroyer cannon, his performance just now may make it impossible to keep his position as commander. Thinking of this, cold sweat broke out on Snowma's back, and he was already thinking about what to do next to make the High Priest give him a lighter sentence. However, Snowma himself underestimated the arrogance and narrow-mindedness of the sovereign people. Snowma, it was you, the idiot, who just suggested that we make peace with the waste that has been destroyed by the Star Destroyer cannon. Let us abandon the glory and dignity of Sovereign. As the commander of Sovereign, you have made such a decision. You are simply a disgrace to Sovereign and have disgraced our ancestors. Snowma, tell me, how to deal with this matter. Several commanders who had never been on the same page with Snowma were not paying attention to the projection, and they all pointed their fingers at Snowma. Even Aisha looked at Snowma with considerable dissatisfaction. Seeing everyone making trouble, Snowma looked bitter and regretful in his heart. He could only look miserable and didn't know how to defend himself for a while. However, when Snowma's focus accidentally fell on the huge projection, the whole person instantly fell into a sluggish state, and even forgot to answer the questions asked by the High Priest Aisha. In the command hall, on the huge amounts of projection screen, Thrall, who everyone originally thought had been shattered into pieces in the nebula domain after suffering a blow from the Sovereign Star Destroyer cannon, now appeared on the screen intact. Everyone. You guys. Look, Snowma screamed. The sound was surprisingly loud, making everyone frown. Snowma, don't change the subject, what do you want us to see? Attracted by Snowma's shocked gaze, everyone looked at the big screen. When seeing the huge projection, everyone, like Snowma, stood still. They see a dead man. It should be said that people who had been completely destroyed by the Star Destroyer cannon and completely erased from this world reappeared. This is absolutely impossible. This is the first thought in everyone's mind. However, in the huge projection, behind the cold-faced Thrall, the huge nebula field changes, and the nebula giant that has been quickly constructed reminds them. All of these. It's all true. The sovereigns have given you a decent choice, but you insist on feeling my wrath, then, as you wish. Thrall's voice shook the entire planet again, and the cold voice made everyone feel a chill that penetrated into their bones. What followed was uncontrollable fear. At the moment, everyone, including the beautiful Aisha, felt an unparalleled crisis. They seemed to have really offended an evil god. Without giving the sovereigns any chance to turn around, the nebula-like Susano was completed, and Thrall's body disappeared into Susano's head. Immediately, the nebula giant slowly raised his hand, took off the nebula giant sword that he had been carrying from his back, and faced the gathered sovereign unmanned fleet, slowly raising it high. Aha! The towering nebula giant sword slashed down with one strike, carrying a huge force. This sword carried Thrall's anger, so he had no intention of holding back. What's more, this is Sovereign's unmanned fleet. Even if the entire fleet is completely destroyed, apart from severely damaging Sovereign's vitality, it will not cause huge killings. After all, Thrall has taken a fancy to this planet and plans to conquer it as a base for his future development. Facing the towering nebula sword, the unmanned warships were like tiny grasshoppers. They didn't even have a chance to escape, and they exploded under the giant sword. This simple sword stroke, but only for a moment, caused the entire Sovereign command hall and the screens of all the pilots who remotely controlled the battleships to turn into a heart-stopping red. The huge explosion wave that destroyed the entire fleet made the outside of Sovereign extremely chaotic, and even the projection on the huge main screen turned red. This means that under the sword of the starry sky giant just now, the entire sovereign unmanned fleet was destroyed. The group is destroyed. Even after a long time, no one made a sound in the entire command hall, only the sound of people gasping for air and the panicked heartbeats. Master High Priest, the unmanned fleet has been completely destroyed by the opponent. What should we do now? A battleship pilot spoke in a low voice with a trembling voice. From Sal's voice just now, everyone understood that such a strong man would soon appear in front of them. When the time comes, they will have to bear each other's wrath. However, even Sovereign's most powerful unmanned fleet was destroyed by the opponent's sword. What can they do to withstand the opponent's wrath? Unable to see the situation outside the planet, the fear in everyone's hearts grew and spread crazily, giving them the helpless suffocation of a drowning person. Snoma, maybe your previous proposal makes some sense. After a while, the voice of High Priest Aisha sounded. The High Priest's words made Snoma's body tremble slightly. Now it seems that at least his status as fleet commander has been preserved. But then, their lives are completely out of their control. In the midst of extreme depression, the entire command hall shook, causing everyone's expressions to change drastically. The fear in their hearts could no longer be concealed, and they were on the verge of collapse. Boom! There was another explosion, and the roof of the command hall was swept across by a nebula-like black light. The entire upper level completely disappeared, and a black light was cast in the exposed sky. The nebula giant, who had just destroyed the entire sovereign unmanned fleet, was standing outside the command hall. The huge starry sky beast followed behind the nebula giant, like a young and well-behaved pet. Huge amounts of nebula giant completely blocked even the golden sunlight in the sky. The huge body cast a shadow that enveloped the command center and also enveloped everyone's hearts. Surrender or die. Nebula giant opened and closed its mouth, making a dull sound. Chen Peihe died. For the sovereign people, Thrall was kind and gave them a chance. Otherwise, what is facing sovereign now is not the nebula giant, but a huge devouring domain that can envelop the entire planet. Facing the senior officials of sovereign, Thrall's level sub-godfather's majestic momentum burst out, pressing down on everyone like a towering mountain. Even the most powerful person in Sovereign could hardly breathe. However, there are always some fools who can't see the form clearly, and the sovereign's innate arrogance and superiority make them speak. You. Who are you? If you dare to go against sovereign, do you know the consequences of threatening us? Invading the territory ruled by sovereign and destroying our fleet, you are looking for death. The people who spoke were none other than sovereign's top commanders. However, Thrall at the moment did not have such a good temper. Thrall's gaze instantly locked onto all the senior sovereign officials who had spoken. The nebula giant extended his hand, and without even being able to react, he grabbed them in his hands. As the giant hand slowly clenched, several people screamed briefly, and broken flesh and blood splashed out from Nebula's giant hand. Among these people were those who targeted Snoma and Snoma himself. Several defective corpses slammed to the ground, and the strong smell of blood spread, making the atmosphere at the scene extremely depressing. I'm afraid until their death, these people never thought that as the top leaders of Sovereign's power, they would end up like this. After squeezing several people to death, Thrall did not stop. In the Nebula Giant's hand, the Nebula Giant sword that had completely destroyed the entire Sovereign unmanned fleet with just one blow was raised high again by Thrall. The sharp aura erupted in horror, rushing down towards all the senior sovereign officials. Kneel down, Thrall spoke, his voice colder than before, indicating that his patience was exhausted. Plop. This time, Sovereign's senior management finally reacted. The sound of the knee touching the ground was quite clear in the Sovereign Hall where the drop of a needle could be heard. With one person kneeling down, the rest finally found a way to release the terrible pressure, and everyone in the Golden Sovereign knelt down one after another. No matter how arrogant they were, the unruly and arrogant sovereigns made the only choice between life and death when faced with the unmatched Thrall. In the Nebula Giant's head, Thrall's cold face showed a faint smile. The giant sword was recovered and carried on the Nebula Giant's back again. Then the entire Nebula Giant slowly dissipated, revealing Thrall's true body. Looking down at everyone from a high position, as long as Sal's eyes were swept across, the sovereigns all lowered their unruly heads, and even their bodies were trembling slightly. No one dared to meet Sal's eyes. It would have been nice to have been like this a long time ago. No matter how proud the lamb is, it is just a delicious meal for the lion. The reason why you are still alive now is only because of my kindness." After scanning the crowd, Thrall knew exactly what everyone was thinking. Although the sovereigns are now kneeling in front of him, they are only forced by his powerful strength and obscene power, and are not considered true subjects. But that doesn't matter. Thrall is confident enough to make Sovereign his true vassal. "Men of Sovereign, you have made the right choice. Now, let me tell you who your master is. My name is Sal Garin, the son of the creation god planet devourer Garin." Thrall spoke slowly, but his voice was like thunder, spreading to every corner of Sovereign. After saying this, the bodies of the sovereigns in the entire command hall were trembling. The son of the creation god. There was a roar in everyone's mind, and any remaining luck was completely destroyed. High Priest Aisha's vision went dark, her beautiful golden face was full of helplessness, confusion and fear, and her kneeling body almost fainted. 1 second, she was the High Priest of Sovereign, controlling the supreme power of the entire planet. But now, she and the entire Sovereign have become slaves of others. This gap, like a natural chasm, undoubtedly caused her to fall from heaven to 18 levels of hell in an instant. Just when Aisha's heart fell to the bottom, Sal's interested eyes stayed on her. "I have to say, Aisha is a very charming beauty. He has a dignified and arrogant temperament, and has cultivated a mature nobility from being in high positions all year round. Moreover, sovereign people are carefully designed and cultivated through scientific means, and their original appearance has reached extremely high standards. The high priest's figure is also perfect, and the bulges are quite protruding." From Sal's condescending perspective, one can see the profound career line wrapped in the bowed Aisha's low robe, and the slightly undulating figure. Which added to Thrall's strong interest. At the moment, Ayessa had no choice but to succumb to Sal's lewdness. This, combined with her originally arrogant temperament, increased the visual impact. What Sal admired most was that this woman was golden. "You know, Sal has never tasted a golden woman. You, raise your head." Sal's body slowly fell down and he spoke to Ayessa in a commanding tone. Under Sal's powerful aura, Ayessa's head went blank. She slowly raised her head involuntarily, and faced Sal's interested gaze with her charming face. Ayessa's empty eyes were filled with confusion and panic, which made Sal reveal an evil smile on his lips. Originally, Sal thought that the High Priest Ayessa was similar to the image he saw in the movie before traveling, so he really couldn't arouse any interest. But now seeing it with his own eyes, Sal can only say that it is indeed the best variety, carefully bred with perfect genes. Such a beauty has enough qualifications to be his favored plaything. "Okay, I'm a little tired. You are the High Priest, right? Take me to your palace to rest. Also, take good care of my pets." Facing the stunning beauty, Sal was a little impatient. The nebula particles moved slightly and lifted Ayessa's kneeling body. After meeting Aisha, Sal originally wanted to teach everyone more lessons, but at the moment he was no longer in a hurry. Lifted up by the nebula particles, Aisha came back to her senses. Faced with Sal's fiery eyes, she felt a little panicked for no reason. When it comes to matters between men and women, Aisha is a blank slate. Facing Sal's aggressive eyes, she seems at a loss. She can only follow Sal's instructions and guide Sal to her palace. After hearing Sal's words, everyone was stunned, and then many of them secretly rejoiced. "I originally thought that Sal would give them severe punishment, but I didn't expect it. Is this the end?" Many people raised their heads slightly and saw the way Sal looked at Ayessa. They quickly understood and couldn't help but feel happy in their hearts. For everyone, sacrificing one Ayessa to avoid Thrall's wrath is worth $10,000. By the way, remember, my pet is very interested in Sovereign Steel Titanium Battery, let him eat it to its fullest. The voice of Sal, who had already walked a short distance with Ayessa, came slowly. The starry sky beast that was constantly hovering in the sky let out a joyful dragon roar and fell into excitement. Everyone kneeling on the ground was slightly stunned. What kind of pet is this that needs to eat Sovereign Steel Titanium Battery? You must know that steel titanium batteries are a precious resource that Sovereign attaches great importance to, and the value of each one is extremely high. How many steel and titanium batteries does it take to feed this giant mouth that Thrall brought to this monster? With a roar, the starry sky beast suddenly fell in front of everyone. Under the strong wind pressure caused by the rapid fall, everyone who was kneeling staggered a little. Looking at the excited starry sky beast, they were all afraid that this guy would be overexcited and accidentally trample them to death. Roar. Facing the frightened people, the excited starry sky beast let out a roar of dissatisfaction, and the meaning was obvious. As the highest power on a planet, the High Priest's palace is quite luxurious. The overall pure golden palace is not vulgar in the slightest, with smooth lines and a layout that can be called a golden ratio. The entire palace gives people a sense of nobility. At the moment, Sovereign's noble High Priest and Thrall were alone in the room where she usually rested. Lord Thrall, what do you want me to do? Aisha's expression was as uneasy as her mood, not knowing what Sal would do next. High Priest Aisha, before you ask questions, you need to clarify one thing. From the moment I come to Sovereign, everyone on the entire planet, whether it is your body or soul, will not no longer under your own control, your will be controlled by me. Looking at the anxious beauty in front of him, Sal smiled slightly and said to Ayessa. Yes, Ayessa spoke, no matter how reluctant she was, facing Sal who could not resist, she could only obey. From now on, you are my maid. You must unswervingly execute all my orders. My orders are your will. Do you understand? Sal was good at tempting, and began to teach Ayessa from the perspective of thinking. A qualified maid takes time to develop slowly. As for physical training, that is the next step. I understand, Lord Thrall. A hearty storm, not to mention the fierce battle, there was an earthquake of huge amounts in the most heavily defended area on Sovereign. This area is the core of Sovereign's core and is used to store Sovereign's most confidential scientific and technological achievements, including steel titanium batteries. Above the suspended square where the steel titanium batteries were stored, huge and cheerful dragon roars sounded from time to time, and some kind of terrifying shadow passed by, causing waves of tremors in the square. As for the culprit, it is naturally Thrall's mount, the starry sky beast. Arriving at the square where the steel titanium batteries were stored, the starry sky beast was so excited that it lost control. In its perception, every small steel titanium battery contained an extremely abundant amount of pure energy. These batteries are 10,000 times better than the treasures in the meteorite belt where it once stayed. If this monster continues to eat like this, all Sovereign's Taigang batteries in reserve for the next 50 years will be gone. The person responsible for managing this square looked bitter and almost cried. It would be fine if the starry sky beast only ate, but now it was in high spirits, howling and snarling while eating, making a mess in the reserved suspended square. I don't know if it has replenished too much energy, but the starry sky beast would open its mouth from time to time and spit out balls of flame-like breath, which scared everyone and fled in a hurry. Although the relative safety factor of steel titanium batteries is not low, if the high temperature breathed out by the starry sky monster happens to be sprayed on a certain battery, let alone the entire square, I'm afraid half the Sovereign will be blown up to the sky. Otherwise, what else can we do? The person behind this guy is the son of the god of creation, and he took out our entire fleet with just one sword. Next to the bitter person in charge, there are several people who have personally confirmed Thrall's terrifying strength and know Thrall's identity. Now they are letting the starry sky beast toss around them without daring to raise any objections. I can't control the son of the creation god. No, I can't go on like this. I have to tell the commander and the high priest. The person in charge had no intention of stopping when he saw the starry sky beast, and finally couldn't bear it anymore and was about to report it. I advise you not to do this, otherwise the consequences will be tragic. The person responsible for leading the starry sky beast to dine spoke coldly. Why, the 6 commanders of Sovereign have been killed by the Lord. As for the high priest, he is currently accompanying the Lord in the palace where he is resting. Quote. Cold sweat slowly dropped from the person in charge's forehead. In the end, he could only glance at the starry sky beast enjoying the meal and turned his head helplessly. Not to mention the fierce battle, there was an earthquake of huge amounts in the most heavily defended area on Sovereign. This area is the core of Sovereign's core and is used to store Sovereign's most confidential scientific and technological achievements, including steel titanium batteries. Above the suspended square where the steel titanium batteries were stored, huge and cheerful dragon roars sounded from time to time, and some kind of terrifying shadow passed by, causing waves of tremors in the square. As for the culprit, it is naturally Thrall's mount, the starry sky beast. Arriving at the square where the steel titanium batteries were stored, the starry sky beast was so excited that it lost control. In its perception, every small steel titanium battery contained an extremely abundant amount of pure energy. These batteries are 10,000 times better than the treasures in the meteorite belt where it once stayed. If this monster continues to eat like this, all Sovereign's Taigang batteries in reserve for the next 50 years will be gone. The person responsible for managing this square looked bitter and almost cried. It would be fine if the starry sky beast only ate, but now it was in high spirits, howling and snarling while eating, making a mess in the reserved suspended square. I don't know if it has replenished too much energy, but the starry sky beast would open its mouth from time to time and spit out balls of flame-like breath, which scared everyone and fled in a hurry. Although the relative safety factor of steel titanium batteries is not low, if the high temperature breathed out by the starry sky monster happens to be sprayed on a certain battery, let alone the entire square, I'm afraid half the Sovereign will be blown up to the sky. Otherwise, what else can we do? The person behind this guy is the son of the god of creation, and he took out our entire fleet with just one sword. Next to the bitter person in charge, there are several people who have personally confirmed Thrall's terrifying strength and know Thrall's identity. Now they are letting the starry sky beast toss around them without daring to raise any objections. I can't control the son of the creation god. No, I can't go on like this. I have to tell the commander and the high priest. The person in charge had no intention of stopping when he saw the starry sky beast, and finally couldn't bear it anymore and was about to report it. I advise you not to do this, otherwise the consequences will be tragic. The person responsible for leading the starry sky beast to dine spoke coldly. Why, the 6 commanders of Sovereign have been killed by the Lord. As for the high priest, he is currently accompanying the Lord in the palace where he is resting. Quote. Cold sweat slowly dropped from the person in charge's forehead. In the end, he could only glance at the starry sky beast enjoying the meal and turned his head helplessly. Not to mention the fierce battle, there was an earthquake of huge amounts in the most heavily defended area on Sovereign. This area is the core of Sovereign's core and is used to store Sovereign's most confidential scientific and technological achievements, including steel titanium batteries. Above the suspended square where the steel titanium batteries were stored, huge and cheerful dragon roars sounded from time to time, and some kind of terrifying shadow passed by, causing waves of tremors in the square. As for the culprit, it is naturally Thrall's mount, the starry sky beast. Arriving at the square where the steel titanium batteries were stored, the starry sky beast was so excited that it lost control. In its perception, every small steel titanium battery contained an extremely abundant amount of pure energy. These batteries are 10,000 times better than the treasures in the meteorite belt where it once stayed. If this monster continues to eat like this, all Sovereign's Taigang batteries in reserve for the next 50 years will be gone. 3 days later, in Sovereign's magnificent golden palace, Thrall sat on the golden throne at the top of the palace, with Aisha nestled next to him. From Sal's condescending perspective, there were no fewer than 100 people kneeling in the palace. These were the top officials in Sovereign who were now centralized and controlled everything in Sovereign. Master, your pet has eaten enough and is now asleep. The person in charge of arranging the meal for Starry Sky Dragon spoke respectfully, not daring to raise his head in front of Thrall. Thinking of the terrifying swallowing ability of the Starry Sky Beast, the person in charge couldn't help but show a bit of bitterness on his face. According to his original estimate, the Starry Sky Behemoth could swallow Sovereign's 30 to 50-year reserve of steel titanium batteries at most. This was already a quite bold estimate, but the final result was 80 years. The Starry Behemoth consumed Sovereign's 80-year reserve of steel titanium batteries in one full meal. You must know that the energy of each steel titanium battery is extremely large, and it is enough to support the regular use of Sovereign's entire planet for 80 years. That's an astronomical number. This has shaken Sovereign's foundation and left Sovereign feeling severely damaged. Moreover, this is just one meal for the Starry Sky Beast. I wonder how much of the steel titanium battery will be left when this scary guy wakes up. Well, I understand. Ignoring the bitterness in the person in charge's words, Sal spoke calmly. After letting the starry sky beast have a good meal and fall asleep, he went to see it once and learned something about the starry sky beast's situation. It has to be said that the starry sky beast that Thrall conquered in the meteorite belt is quite special. Its growth and devouring ability exceed Thrall's estimation. This crazy devouring meal is a huge amount of opportunity for the starry sky beast, which can make its strength leap forward. In Thrall's perception, the main reason why the starry sky beast fell into a deep sleep was because it swallowed too many batteries at once, and the majestic energy accumulated, so the starry sky beast had to choose to sleep to slowly transform and absorb this energy. I believe that when the starry sky beast wakes up, it will bring Thrall a big surprise. For Thrall, the importance of this starry beast far exceeds Sovereign's steel titanium battery. The starry sky beast's powerful swallowing ability and growth ability will definitely be a rare and powerful fighter for Thrall in the future, but the arrogant Sovereign people simply can't understand it. Ayesa, one of Sovereign's core technologies that I learned about before, is aimed at cultivating Sovereign's new population. According to the introduction, targeted cultivation can be carried out, right? Seeing the people kneeling, they had nothing to say. They all just knelt and said nothing. Sal was not interested and focused on Ayesa. Previously, after he and Ayesa had a fun time creating a traditional human being, Ayesa took Sal to learn a lot about Sovereign's core technology. What interests Sal is Sovereign's achievements in biological control. This kind of achievement can use sophisticated and high-end genetic technology to carry out targeted cultivation of newborn organisms, whether it is the gender, body, or even subconsciousness of the newborn individual, can be controlled. This is like the level programming written in the core of the robot. The robot must strictly execute and obey the programmed commands, otherwise it will cause the system to crash. Thrall wants to make Sovereign his first stop, so he naturally wants all Sovereigns to surrender completely to him. He didn't want to leave Sovereign with his front foot and rebel in Sovereign with his back foot. Therefore, controlling people's hearts is a necessary means. What Thrall wants is for the entire Sovereign to be deeply marked as surrendering to him, and there will absolutely be no betrayal. Master, that's right. This technology is currently used to artificially create descendants of Sovereign with the best genetic sequence, and Elder Collet is in charge. After completing the transformation from a girl to a woman, Ayesa has completely obeyed Sal, and Sal knows everything he says. Following the direction Ayesa pointed, Thrall saw a slightly older figure in golden robes, who was obviously the Elder Collet who was responsible for the artificial creation of Sovereign's descendants. Lord Thrall. Under Sal's penetrating gaze, Elder Collet, who was kneeling on the ground, was trembling a little, obviously very uneasy. Collet, I give you a simple task. From now on, I want all the new Sovereigns to surrender 100% to me. If they have any thoughts of disobedience, they will die in pain. If you can do it. Sal smiled slightly, and what he said made Elder Collet's eyes change with shock. Lord Thrall, this Sovereign's law stipulates that the free will of sovereign people cannot be restricted. I can't. Elder Collet was obviously shocked by Thrall's order, and his body trembled more obviously. He hesitated for a while before he stammered. Collet, shut up. Before Elder Collet could finish what he said, Ayesa interrupted him with a low shout. Sitting next to Sal, while Collet was talking, although Sal's expression did not change at all, Ayesa could clearly feel that the temperature around Sal's body had dropped a bit. Although Aisha is arrogant, she is not a fool. She still doesn't understand this situation. If Collet finishes what he said, he may soon turn into a corpse. Collet, you may not understand that from the moment I appeared, what I said was the law of Sovereign. Now, you just need to answer me, can you do it? There was no fluctuation in Sal's voice, but Elder Collet, who was kneeling on the ground, clearly felt the pressure in the space around his body rolling towards him like a mountain. Under this huge pressure, Collet was unable to resist at all, and his kneeling body fell directly onto him, causing him to fall to the ground. Moreover, this pressure becomes stronger and stronger as time goes by. For a moment, Collet felt that his life was about to disappear. Yes, Lord Thrall, I can do it. Not only the new Sovereigns, but also the existing Sovereigns can undergo genetic modification and completely surrender to you. Collet used all his strength to say these words. The tide-like pressure faded away instantly, and Sal's eyes showed a hint of satisfaction. Very well, call it, I'll leave this matter to you. Remember, if there is another time, I don't mind changing to someone else. A smile appeared on Sal's face, and then he waved his hand, indicating that everyone could leave if nothing was wrong. Although the scene just now was not directed at themselves, all the kneeling senior sovereign officials were trembling in their hearts. They had once again witnessed Sal's domineering strength, and their awe for Sal was even deeper. Report, Lord Thrall, Titanium Steel Plaza was invaded by monsters. The monster that stole the battery before, is here again. Just when everyone was about to disperse, outside the palace, a sovereign warrior rushed in with an anxious expression and knelt at the door of the palace. After hearing the soldier's report, Sal's eyes narrowed slightly. How is the situation now? Sal spoke calmly, without any hint of panic. At the same time, his powerful perception ability unfolded and spread towards the entire sovereign. With Sal's powerful perception ability, in a blink of an eye, it spread to the energy-rich area on the sovereign planet, and he felt a slightly familiar fluctuation. That is the fluctuation of his unique nebula particles. The monster that stole the steel titanium battery was the starry sky creature that Sal brought the starry sky beast to outside the sovereign planet before. However, Sal was busy subduing Sovereign at the time, so he didn't kill him immediately. Die it. At that time, Thrall's attack penetrated the monster's body, and the nebula particles continued to torture the monster. It seemed that it should be killed slowly. However, what Thrall didn't know was that the nebula particles remaining in the monster's body did cause unimaginable damage to the monster, making it weaker. But it is precisely this that stimulates the monster. In order to survive, it sneaks into Sovereign and takes a risk regardless of the danger. The abundant energy of the Sovereign Steel Titanium battery can make this monster powerful again. Although it may not be able to compete with the nebula particles in its body, it can at least quench its thirst by drinking poison and prevent it from being swallowed to death by the nebula particles so quickly. Sir, that monster is very powerful. When there was an unmanned fleet, we could drive it away, but now. The sovereign soldiers kneeling on the ground were filled with fear and bitterness. Sovereign's most powerful unmanned fleet was destroyed by Thrall's sword. Now that this monster has invaded, they really have nothing to do with it. Deal with. Everyone in the palace also looked ugly. The fleet that could have fought against the monsters was destroyed by Thrall on the throne. Now they can only focus on Thrall for help. Sovereign, who claims to be powerful and noble, can't even handle a monster. He's a waste. After hearing the soldier's words, Sal couldn't help but cursed in his heart. However, the current embarrassing situation does have something to do with him. Master, please take action and kill this hateful monster. Sovereign was her home, and now it was being tormented by monsters. Aisha was also a little angry, and she respectfully pleaded to Thrall. Having seen Thrall's terrifying strength, she knew clearly that only Thrall could handle the situation in front of her. Lord Thrall, please take action. With Aisha taking the lead, everyone reacted, knelt on the ground and spoke in unison. No problem. Let's go together. Since you surrender to me, I will naturally protect this planet. Sal smiled slightly and nodded readily in agreement. This is a good opportunity to win over people's hearts. At the moment, most of the core area of sovereign technology has been turned into ruins. There were burning flames and constant explosions everywhere, as well as a large number of energy weapon rays forming chaotic beams. If you think of this as a fireworks display, it would be pretty good. A monster with a huge head and tentacles is in the center, destroying the surrounding buildings while constantly looking for powerful sovereign steel titanium batteries. As long as the sovereign steel titanium battery is found by the monster, it will be directly devoured by huge amounts of equipment. The special metal instrument linked to the sovereign steel titanium battery had little resistance against the monster's huge mouth filled with countless fangs. It quickly turned into a pile of fragments and was swallowed with a grunt. A large number of sovereign steel titanium batteries were placed in the belly, causing a faint light to shine through the monster's belly. Many golden figures held weapons in their hands and were encircling and suppressing this monster. However, the power of these weapons seems unsatisfactory. All the energy impact fell on the monster's thick hard skin, just like a bullet hitting a rhinoceros hide. Except for a little mark, it would not cause any damage to the monster at all. In the area where the monsters were passing by, there were several golden figures wailing, with some wounds on their bodies. This is because the monster is only thinking about the energy battery and does not specifically target them. Otherwise, there would probably be very few sovereign warriors left who were extremely weak in combat effectiveness. The monster that had eaten many steel titanium batteries would open its mouth from time to time and spit out pieces of colorful energy storms, leaving many golden figures in a state of embarrassment. Lord Thrall, please take action quickly. The life of every sovereign is extremely precious, and they are all the property of your master. When Sal arrived with everyone, all the sovereign executives were panicked. Seeing the terrifying tentacle monster, uncontrollable fear arose in their hearts. If this monster is allowed to continue its rampage, the entire sovereign core technology area may be completely destroyed by it. Sal naturally saw the scene in front of him, and a gleam flashed across his eyes. The guy who doesn't know how to live or die. Amidst the cold snort, Sal's figure suddenly moved and disappeared from everyone's eyes. Everyone could only see an afterimage, shooting towards the monster at a speed comparable to that of a spaceship. The afterimage of Thrall had no intention of stopping at all. It ran directly towards the monster's head and raised his hand to deliver a solid punch. Although they knew that Sal's strength was terrifying, the huge difference between the two bodies, and seeing Sal fighting directly in hand-to-hand combat really made everyone sweat. Boom! Before the monster could react at all, the afterimage hit the monster's head in huge amounts. Facing this terrifying impact, the excited monster felt as if it was hit by a planet. With a scream, huge amounts of its body were thrown into the air under the action of inertia. There was another explosion, and the monster's huge amounts of body knocked over many buildings and instruments before it landed with a crash. Thrall, who had reached level sub-godfather, had such a terrible blow with pure physical power. The powerful force acted on the monster's body, and a deep mark was plowed out on the golden metal ground, which made all the spectators watch the show. The upper management of Wayland sucked in the air conditioning. Who is the monster? This is the thought in the minds of all sovereign executives. Ignoring the inner fluctuations of Sovereign's top brass, after giving the monster a head-on blow, Thrall's body flew through the air and appeared above the monster, looking down at the monster whose body was constantly twitching. Having withstood Thrall's blow, the monster's head had turned into a bloody mass of flesh and blood, almost completely shapeshifting. Its blood, which flashed with green light, flowed freely and emitted a strange fluorescence. This monster lives in space and can adapt to the extremely chaotic radiation environment in space. The flesh and blood of its body also has strong radiation. Even the flowing flesh and blood are completely different from the creatures living on the planet. Before I didn't rule sovereign, whatever you did had nothing to do with me, but now I can only kill you to win people's hearts. Sal did not say the second half of this sentence. Following Thrall's slowly stretched out palm, the huge monster paralyzed on the ground suddenly let out a howl of terror, and its two protruding dead fish eyes shone with frightened pleading. Thrall chose to ignore this look and slowly clenched the monster's open palm. Ouch! No one saw Thrall launch any attack, but the monster on the ground roared crazily, and the tentacles of the huge octopus body struggled wildly, looking completely miserable. What is going on? Sir, what did he do? Seeing this scene, all the sovereigns looked at each other in complete incomprehension. But soon, everyone knew the answer. Numerous dense bulges appeared on the monster's extremely tough skin, as if something was trying to get out of it. It was obviously these things in the monster's body that caused him extreme pain. Seeing this scene, everyone in Sovereign felt numb and had a new understanding of Thrall's terrifying methods. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.